Florida is famous for its beaches, sunshine, and theme parks. But hidden beneath its cheerful exterior is a darker side, a world of haunted roads, mysterious disappearances, and restless spirits. From winding backcountry routes to abandoned highways, travelers have reported chilling encounters, strange sounds, and even vanishings that remain unsolved. Tonight, we take you on a journey along 25 of the most haunted roads in Florida, where the unknown waits just beyond the headlights. Buckle up and prepare yourself for tales that will make you think twice before taking a night drive through the Sunshine State. State Road 29 in Immokalee, Florida, stretches for miles through remote swampland and sparsely populated farmland. And despite its ordinary appearance by day, it has earned a reputation as one of the most haunted roads in the state. Locals tell stories of travelers who ventured out after dark only to experience unexplainable chills, eerie shadows, and, in some cases, disappearances that remain unsolved to this day. Driving along State Road 29 at night, the first thing most visitors notice is the sudden drop in temperature. One moment the air is warm and humid, as is typical in Florida, and the next, a gust of icy wind seems to sweep across the vehicle, chilling occupants to the bone. Some attribute this to the swampy surroundings, but those familiar with the road insist that these cold spots appear far from any natural explanation. Motorists have reported that their breath becomes visible in the middle of summer, and the sensation of being watched seems to hang over the highway like a heavy fog. Perhaps the most unsettling phenomenon reported on State Road 29 is the appearance of shadowy figures. Travelers often describe seeing human-like silhouettes moving across the road or standing at the edge of the asphalt, only to vanish when approached. These figures are not fleeting glimpses from the corner of the eye. They are detailed enough for witnesses to note the way they walk or the shape of their clothing. Some describe tall, gaunt men. Others report small, childlike figures darting between trees. And there are tales of cloaked shapes that seem to hover above the ground rather than walk on it. Phantom car engines and inexplicable vehicle behavior are another common occurrence. Drivers have recounted moments when the sound of a car engine roars beside them, though no other vehicle is visible. Headlights are sometimes seen in the distance. Yet, when the traveler turns their own vehicle toward the source, the lights vanish. Even more disturbing are reports of cars stalling completely, often in the middle of empty stretches, with radios crackling or headlights flickering before returning to normal without explanation. State Road 29 has been the site of numerous vanishings over the decades, adding to the lure of the haunted highway. Some travelers are never seen again, their vehicles found abandoned with no signs of struggle. Others are discovered hours later, disoriented and unable to explain what happened, claiming only that they were pulled off the road or led into the darkness. Law enforcement has investigated several cases, but the combination of remote location, swampy terrain, and sparse traffic often leaves mysteries unsolved. Locals whisper that the spirits of these lost travelers now inhabit the road, joining the already restless apparitions. Eyewitness accounts of encounters on State Road 29 often share a common thread: the feeling of being followed. Even when alone, drivers report sensing movement in the rearview mirror, shadows that dart past their peripheral vision, or a sudden oppressive presence that presses down on the vehicle. Some say the road itself seems alive, subtly shifting and guiding them toward unknown destinations. In certain areas, GPS signals fail or distort, compounding the sense that the highway exists outside normal reality. Several legends attempt to explain the source of the hauntings. Some claim the road is cursed due to tragic accidents over the years, with souls unable to find peace lingering in the swamps and along the asphalt. Others suggest darker supernatural forces claim this stretch of Florida, using the isolation and darkness to ensnare travelers. Stories of old settlers, lost children, and shadowy figures seem to merge with the real dangers of the road, creating a chilling tapestry of folklore and unexplained occurrences. One commonly told story involves a lone truck driver traveling late at night. He reported that, as he drove along a particularly straight and desolate stretch, a figure appeared directly in front of his headlights. Swerving to avoid it, He crashed into the ditch, only to look back and find the figure standing calmly at the edge of the road, unmoving, watching him. When he climbed out to check, there was no one there, and the area was silent except for the chirping of insects. The driver swore he would never travel that road at night again. Another tale recounts a couple returning from a late-night fishing trip. Their car stalled without warning in the middle of the highway, and as they tried to restart it, they heard footsteps approaching. Both looked toward the swampy edges of the road and saw dozens of shadowy forms advancing slowly, yet silently, their eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. Terrified, the couple managed to start the engine and flee, but they reported that they could still feel the presence of the figures following them for miles, a sensation that lingered long after they reached safety. Even locals who have grown up with State Road 29 respect its eerie reputation. Stories of hauntings are passed down through families, and night travel is often avoided entirely. Hunters, campers, and delivery drivers frequently report that the feeling of unease along the highway is immediate, almost palpable. Some say that simply driving the road at dusk is enough to provoke shivers and fleeting glimpses of unexplained phenomena. Despite, or perhaps because of its chilling history, State Road 29 continues to attract thrill-seekers and paranormal enthusiasts. Ghost hunters and researchers have attempted to document the apparitions, capturing strange cold spots, audio anomalies, and occasional blurry figures in photographs or night vision footage. While skeptics dismiss these accounts as tricks of the mind or natural phenomena in a swampy environment, those who have traveled the road alone at night often return with stories that cannot be so easily explained. From vanishing drivers to shadowy figures, State Road 29 remains one of Florida's most infamous haunted roads. Its isolation, swampy surroundings, and long history of mysterious occurrences create an atmosphere thick with fear and fascination. Travelers who find themselves on this desolate highway after dark often report that time seems to stretch. Reality feels uncertain, and the presence of something unseen is never far away. Those who respect the road's reputation tread carefully, while others are drawn to it, compelled by curiosity, only to wonder if they, too, will become another tale whispered along the asphalt. In the end, State Road 29 is not merely a road, it is a corridor to the unknown. Each mile holds the potential for a brush with the paranormal, a fleeting glimpse of a shadow, or the unsettling feeling that someone or something is traveling alongside you. For those who dare to drive it after dark, one thing is certain: the highway remembers, and it never forgets. As Highway 17 in Putnam County, Florida, stretches through dense forests, swampland, and quiet rural towns, a road that appears ordinary by day, but transforms into a corridor of fear after dark. Over the decades, it has earned a reputation as one of Florida's most haunted highways. Notorious for ghostly hitchhikers, unexplained lights, and eerie phenomena that leave travelers shaken and bewildered, locals tell stories of drivers who encounter a figure along the roadside, often dressed in outdated clothing reminiscent of the early 20th century. The figure may appear as a woman in a long dress, a man in a suit and hat, or a child clutching a small object, like a doll or book. Many reports describe these spectral hitchhikers, silently gesturing to be picked up. When drivers stop, the figure enters the car without a word, often remaining completely silent for the duration of the journey. Then, without warning, just as the driver approaches a familiar landmark or turns to speak, the passenger vanishes. There is no sign of them, no trace of where they went, and sometimes even no footprints along the roadside where they first appeared. The chilling part is that these encounters are not isolated. Multiple drivers over decades have reported nearly identical experiences. A silent passenger appearing out of nowhere, disappearing without explanation, and leaving the driver with a lingering sense of unease. Some witnesses describe the vanished passengers as leaving behind a faint scent, sometimes perfume, sometimes the earthy smell of wet soil, further deepening the mystery. Paranormal enthusiasts suggest these are spirits of travelers who met untimely deaths along the highway or victims of accidents in the surrounding swamps. As Highway 17 is also infamous for strange lights that appear deep within the forest and swampy areas flanking the road. Witnesses report small orbs floating just above the water, flickering like lanterns from a bygone era. At times, these lights seem to follow vehicles, matching their speed and movement, only to disappear when the driver slows down or turns off the highway. Some claim the lights are will-o' the wisp spirits of the dead leading travelers astral. Others insist they are glimpses into another dimension. In addition to hitchhikers and ghostly lights, the road is the site of inexplicable sounds and sudden atmospheric changes. Drivers have reported hearing footsteps running alongside their cars, doors rattling despite being locked, and whispers that echo from the tree line, often repeating phrases like "get out" or "go back." Even seasoned locals describe an almost tangible tension while driving here at night, a sensation that unseen eyes are watching from every shadow, waiting for the wrong move. One of the most famous stories involves a trucker driving a late-night route along the swampy stretch. He recounted seeing a young woman standing in the middle of the road, illuminated faintly by his headlights. He swerved to avoid hitting her, and when he stopped to check, the road was empty. Moments later, he noticed her in the back seat of his truck. Terrified, he braked suddenly, and when he looked again, she was gone, leaving only the lingering chill of her presence. Even after years, the trucker swears that sensation, the oppressive, icy feeling, remains etched in his memory. Another tale tells of a family driving home from a festival. They spotted a small boy near the roadside, appearing lost and frightened. Feeling compassion, they offered him a ride. For a few minutes, he sat quietly, staring straight ahead, his small hands folded in his lap. Suddenly, as the vehicle passed a swamped clearing, he disappeared, leaving the family speechless and shaken. Some locals claim these sightings are the spirits of children who drowned in the many waterlogged areas surrounding the highway. Over the years, investigators and ghost hunters have attempted to document the activity along U.S. Highway 17. Night vision cameras sometimes capture fleeting shadow figures darting through the tree line, and temperature sensors detect sudden, extreme drops in certain areas. Audio recordings occasionally pick up static-laden whispers or faint cries that seem to emanate from the swamp itself. While skeptics argue that these phenomena could be tricks of the mind, misidentified animals, or swamp gases, the consistency of reports spanning decades makes dismissal difficult. The haunted reputation of U.S. Highway 17 has made it a magnet for thrill-seeking. Paranormal enthusiasts and curiosity-driven travelers often brave the highway at night, hoping for a glimpse of the spectral hitchhiker or the mysterious floating lights. Those who do report seeing something often describe an overwhelming sense of dread that persists long after they leave, as if a fragment of the highway's darkness clings to them. For locals, the road is treated with a mixture of respect and fear. Parents warn children to avoid it after dark. Delivery drivers take alternative routes whenever possible, and even longtime residents avoid unnecessary nighttime travel. The stories of ghostly passengers, strange lights, and whispers in the swamp have woven themselves into the identity of the area, blending folklore with chilling first-hand experiences. U.S. Highway 17 is more than just a road. It is a corridor where the boundary between the living and the dead seems thin, where shadows linger and the past refuses to stay buried. The next time you drive through Putnam County after dusk, keep your eyes on the road but also on the periphery. That quiet stretch of asphalt, flanked by dense forest and swamp, may conceal more than just a night. A hitchhiker may appear, silent and still, only to vanish without a trace, leaving you to wonder if you just glimpsed a restless soul doomed to roam the highway forever. Travelers who respect the road's eerie reputation leave quickly, grateful for the familiar landmarks that signal the approach to safety. Those who ignore the warnings often tell stories that join the ever-growing collection of tales surrounding U.S. Highway 17, ensuring its status as one of Florida's most unsettling haunted roads. State Road 436, commonly known as Cimarron Boulevard, winds its way through the Orlando area, a bustling artery by day, but a road shrouded in fear after dark. Over the years, countless stories have emerged about strange occurrences along this stretch. earning it a reputation as one of Florida's most haunted roads. While it sees heavy traffic during the daylight hours, those who venture there at night often find themselves in a world that seems to operate under different rules, where reality bends and the shadows come alive. Locals speak in hushed tones about pedestrians who vanish without a trace. Drivers report seeing figures on the side of the road, sometimes waving for help or attempting to cross, only to disappear when approached. A common tale involves a young woman dressed in outdated clothing, standing in the median or at the roadside. Her face is often obscured by shadows, and when drivers slow down or stop to assist, she is gone, leaving only a lingering chill and the faint sound of footsteps fading into the darkness. Some claim she is the spirit of a woman who died in a car accident along this busy corridor decades ago, doomed to forever replay her final moments. Other reports focus on cars that seem to have a life of their own. Witnesses describe vehicles parked at the side of the road, suddenly moving, swerving, or accelerating without anyone inside. Some drivers recount their own cars reacting oddly when passing certain points on SR 436. Brakes locking unexpectedly, headlights flickering, and engines stalling, as if unseen forces are testing their courage. Paranormal investigators suggest these anomalies could be manifestations of restless spirits interacting with the living world, while skeptics propose mechanical or electrical explanations. Still, the consistency and strangeness of the accounts make SR 436 a place few dare to traverse at night without trepidation. Glowing eyes are a common motif in the reports. Several travelers have described small orbs of light hovering at the edge of the median, resembling the gaze of a predatory animal. Some follow vehicles for long stretches, then vanish when the headlights are switched. Others appear perched in the brush lining the road, watching silently as cars pass. Those who have dared to stop and investigate often return with tales of sudden drops in temperature, the sensation of being watched, or a deafening silence broken only by faint whispers. Strange auditory phenomena also plague SR 436. Late at night, drivers report hearing desperate cries for help, echoing through the deserted road. Some believe these sounds are residual echoes of accidents or tragedies that have occurred on the route over the decades. Others claim they are warnings from spirits attempting to protect the living from the same fate that befell them. Whichever the case, the cries leave listeners unnerved, often causing them to accelerate their journey and avoid glancing too long at the brushy edges of the road. A particularly chilling account comes from a group of college students driving home after a late-night study session. As they traveled along a particularly secluded stretch, they noticed a small boy standing at the edge of the median. He waved timidly, and against their better judgment, they stopped to offer assistance. The boy entered the car silently, eyes wide and unblinking. Minutes later, one of the students turned to speak to him and found the back seat empty. No footprints led away from the road, no sign of where the boy had gone. Only the lingering cold and a sense of deep unease remained. Some longtime residents speak of a darker presence, tied to the thick brush and wooded areas lining the road. They warn that SR 436 carries residual energy from countless accidents, assaults, and sudden deaths. Some ghost hunters believe that this concentration of tragedy has left a permanent mark on the area, causing the road to act as a conduit for restless spirits. This energy may explain the sudden apparitions, phantom vehicles, and eerie sounds reported by those who travel after sunset. Even daytime travelers occasionally report minor disturbances. Shadows dart across lanes, headlights catch inexplicable reflections in the mirrors, and drivers report feeling a sudden, inexplicable dread. While these daytime encounters are less intense than the nighttime phenomena, they reinforce the road's reputation as a place where the ordinary intersects with the supernatural. Local authorities acknowledge that SR 436 has seen more than its share of accidents and fatalities, which may contribute to the lore surrounding the road. However, they caution against attributing every unexplained event to ghosts or curses, citing natural explanations like poor lighting, overgrown vegetation, and driver fatigue. Still, The sheer volume of consistent reports over decades makes the road a hotbed for those intrigued by paranormal activity. Despite, or perhaps because of its eerie reputation, State Road 436 draws the curious and the brave. Paranormal enthusiasts, thrill seekers, and late-night drivers looking for an adrenaline rush often traverse its winding stretches, cameras and audio recorders in hand. Many leave with chilling stories of their own. A fleeting shadow at the edge of the headlights, a sudden cold gust inside the car, or the whisper of a voice that seems to come from nowhere. SR 436 is not just a road. It is a place where the boundary between the living and the dead feels thin. Vanishing pedestrians, ghostly vehicles, glowing eyes, and desperate cries are reminders that this stretch of asphalt is steeped in mystery and lingering tragedy. Travelers who respect the road and heed the local warnings often make it through unscathed, while those who ignore the tales frequently return with stories that add to the legend. For anyone traveling through the Orlando area, State Road 436 is a road that demands caution and respect. After dark, it becomes more than a thoroughfare. It becomes a stage for the unknown, a place where shadows move independently, where cries echo from nowhere, and where vanishing figures leave an indelible mark on the mind of anyone daring enough to drive its haunted lanes. The road continues to claim stories, weaving them into the tapestry of Florida's most chilling haunted locations. The next time you find yourself behind the wheel on SR 436 after sunset, keep your eyes on the road, but also on the median, the brush, and the shadows. You may just encounter a presence from another time, another world, reminding you that some roads are meant to be traveled with caution and, perhaps, never alone. The Tamiami Trail, also known as US Route 41, stretches across the vast, mysterious expanse of the Florida Everglades. By day, it offers drivers breathtaking views of swampland, mangroves, and shimmering waterways. But by night, the same highway takes on an entirely different character. Stretch of roads steeped in eerie tales and unexplained phenomena. For decades, travelers have shared chilling accounts of ghostly encounters, vanishing figures, and strange occurrences that make the Tamiami Trail one of Florida's most haunted routes. Locals often warn that after sunset, the trail is not a place for the faint of heart. Drivers report hearing whispers calling their names from the darkness, voices soft yet urgent, echoing from the thick Everglades brush that borders the road. These whispers seem to come from nowhere, and no matter how quickly drivers glance into the swampy shadows, nothing is there. Some say the voices belong to spirits of those who perished in the swamps, lost to the treacherous waters and murky marshes. Others suggest that these are residual energies, echoes of misfortune imprinted on the land itself. Apparitions are a common sight along this lonely stretch of highway. Misty figures, often described as human-shaped but semi-transparent, are seen walking along the side of the road, sometimes appearing to cross directly in front of cars. When approached, they vanish as if swallowed by the darkness. One traveler recounted seeing a man in old-fashioned clothing stepping off the shoulder of the road, only for him to disappear completely when the car slowed. These encounters are not isolated. Dozens of similar sightings have been reported over the years, creating a legend that chills even seasoned drivers. Strange vehicle behavior is another hallmark of the Tamiami Trail. Several motorists have experienced their cars stalling without warning, brakes locking momentarily, or engines revving on their own before abruptly shutting off. One woman reported her headlights dimming and brightening rhythmically as she drove through a particularly desolate stretch, while a friend following in another car felt the air grow icy around them, even with the windows rolled up. These mechanical anomalies often coincide with sightings of figures in the brush, suggesting an unsettling interaction between the living and the unseen entities that haunt the highway. Vanishing travelers are a persistent part of the Tamiami Trail's lore. Stories circulate of drivers stopping to help stranded figures who are supposedly victims of car trouble, only for the person to vanish the moment contact is made. In one account, a young man described picking up a woman wearing a long, tattered dress. She sat silently in the passenger seat, gazing forward. Minutes later, When he turned to speak, the seat was empty, leaving him in shock on the empty road, with no footprints or signs of struggle. Such reports feed the growing belief that the trail is a magnet for the lost and restless. Animals in the Everglades add to the highway's unsettling atmosphere. Drivers often report glowing eyes in the darkness, sometimes too high for common wildlife, tracking their movements from the swampy foliage. Others recount the sensation of being followed, with the sound of splashing water or snapping branches echoing alongside their cars, only to find no one there when they stop. These experiences combine with the natural isolation of the trail to create an environment where the supernatural feels overwhelmingly real. Auditory phenomena further enhance the trail's reputation. Beyond the whispers, some travelers report hearing distant cries for help, often rising in pitch and intensity before fading abruptly. Others describe strange, rhythmic knocking or thumping sounds that seem to move alongside the vehicle. Paranormal investigators suggest that these occurrences may be linked to residual energy left behind by past tragedies in the Everglades, which has historically been a treacherous and unforgiving landscape. Historical context lends weight to these supernatural tales. The Tamiami Trail cuts through lands that were once considered perilous, with many travelers succumbing to accidents, disorientation, or natural dangers while attempting to traverse the Everglades. Legends speak of individuals lost to quicksand-like mud, alligators, or the swamp's dense undergrowth, their spirits forever wandering the areas where they perished. Some apparitions are thought to be remnants of early 20th century workers who helped construct the road, trapped between life and death due to unforeseen accidents. Despite tour, perhaps because of its frightening reputation, the Tamiami Trail draws adventurers, paranormal enthusiasts, and thrill-seekers hoping to witness its mysteries firsthand. Those who drive at night often come equipped with cameras, audio recorders, and flashlights, attempting to capture evidence of the supernatural. Many leave with chilling stories. A fleeting figure glimpsed in the rearview mirror, a sudden chill that causes goosebumps, or the inexplicable sound of footsteps following their car from the brush. Even daytime travelers sometimes feel the highway's strange energy. Shadows dart across lanes, strange mists form in the distance, and an uneasy sensation of being observed can grip drivers. These subtler encounters remind visitors that the Tamiami Trail is not merely a road, it is a place where the veil between the living and the dead feels thin. The Tamiami Trail is more than a scenic route. It is a corridor of legends, a highway haunted by the restless and the lost. The whispered names, vanishing figures, eerie sounds, and strange vehicle phenomena make it a road unlike any other. For those who respect its dangers, it can be an unforgettable journey. For those who ignore the warnings, it can be a chilling ordeal that leaves a lasting impression on the mind. Anyone traveling the Tamiami Trail after dark should exercise caution. Keep your eyes on the road, but also on the swamps and brush surrounding it. Listen carefully for whispers, and be wary of shadows that move against the light. Those who encounter its hauntings often report a profound sense that they are not alone in invisible presence keeping watch. The Everglades may be beautiful and vast, but the Tamiami Trail serves as a chilling reminder that even the most scenic places can hide lingering spirits and unexplainable mysteries waiting to reveal themselves to the unwary traveler. State Road 60, stretching from Bartow to Tampa, seems ordinary during the day, with its smooth pavement, familiar signage, and the bustle of daily commuters. But as night falls, this stretch of highway transforms into a corridor of eerie tales and unexplained phenomena that have haunted Central Florida for decades. Locals warn that after dark, SR 60 becomes a place where the line between the living and the dead blurs, and those who traverse it must tread carefully. Drivers have long reported encounters with ghostly figures appearing suddenly on the road, often dressed in outdated or tattered clothing. Many of these apparitions seem unaware of their surroundings, wandering across lanes or standing in the middle of the asphalt as if trapped in a moment from the past. Some drivers recount swerving violently to avoid hitting these figures, only to experience a disorienting lapse in time or find themselves miles down the road with no memory of the intervening minutes. The sudden appearance and disappearance of these specters create a sense of danger that goes beyond normal traffic hazards. Abandoned vehicles are a recurring part of the SR-60 lore. Over the years, numerous cars have been found left at odd spots along the highway, with doors unlocked and keys still in the ignition. In some cases, these vehicles were discovered with the occupants missing, as if they had simply vanished into thin air. Local authorities have investigated a few of these incidents, but in most cases, no evidence of foul play or natural causes has ever been found. The disappearances remain unsolved, feeding the highway's reputation as a road where travelers can vanish without a trace. Many who drive the highway at night report hearing footsteps echoing along the shoulder, whispers calling their names, or sudden, inexplicable sounds of car doors slamming. Some motorists describe the sensation of being followed, with a shadow moving alongside their vehicle that vanishes when they glance out the window. Others recount instruments on their cars malfunctioning mysteriously, headlights flickering, radios turning on and off, or engines stalling without reason. The combination of auditory and mechanical disturbances amplifies the feeling that something unseen lurks along the road. One of the most chilling phenomena involves what locals call phantom hitch. Several travelers claim to have picked up figures on the side of the road who silently climb into their vehicles, only to vanish before reaching their destination. In some accounts, the hitchhikers are children or young women, often described as pale, dressed in outdated clothing, or with an otherworldly glow. After their disappearance, some drivers report sudden drops in temperature inside the vehicle, a lingering sense of dread, or the unmistakable feeling that they are being watched. The history of the area adds to the chilling reputation of SR-60. The route cuts through lands that have seen accidents, violence, and tragedy for generations. Locals believe that these spirits are restless, endlessly repeating the moment of their death, and that the energy left behind can affect the living. There are stories of those who encountered these apparitions and later developed an almost obsessive fear of the highway, describing it as a place that claims anyone who gets too close after dark. Environmental factors also contribute to the unnerving experience. The stretch between Bartow and Tampa passes through dense woods, swamps, and open stretches where visibility is limited at night. Mist often rises from the ground, and fog can appear suddenly, reducing visibility and creating optical illusions. These natural conditions make it difficult for drivers to distinguish between reality and the supernatural, intensifying the fear and mystery surrounding the road. Some motorists describe bizarre time distortions. When traveling the highway at night, long stretches of road seem to elongate inexplicably. Headlights illuminate nothing but darkness ahead, and familiar landmarks appear in the wrong order or disappear entirely. These distortions often occur in areas where ghostly figures are sighted, suggesting a link between the apparitions and the disorienting experiences reported by travelers. Despite the dangers and unsettling encounters, SR-60 continues to attract those drawn to the paranormal. Ghost hunters, thrill seekers, and urban explorers venture onto the road, hoping to witness its mysteries firsthand. Many equip their vehicles with cameras, audio recorders, and night vision equipment, hoping to document the strange occurrences. While some return with nothing more than eerie stories, others report capturing fleeting shadows, strange lights, or voices that cannot be explained by natural phenomena. SR-60's haunted reputation is also reinforced by the stories passed down through local families. Tales of vanished drivers, spectral figures, and disembodied voices have been shared for decades, creating a collective caution that warns against nighttime travel. Some locals avoid the highway entirely after dark, choosing alternate routes, while others approach it with a mixture of curiosity and dread, aware that the road's dark energy is as palpable as it is mysterious. Travelers on State Road 60 between Bartow and Tampa should exercise extreme caution, particularly at night. Watch for unexpected figures on the pavement, maintain awareness of vehicles and surroundings, and be prepared for the unsettling possibility that the road is not entirely a highway for the living. Those who respect the highway's eerie reputation often emerge unscathed, albeit with stories of ghostly encounters that linger long after the trip. But for those who ignore the warnings, SR-60 serves as a chilling reminder that some roads are haunted in more ways than one, where the spirits of the past still roam, and travelers may vanish without a trace. State Road 60 is not just a highway, it's a corridor of mystery and fear. A stretch of pavement where ghost stories are more than legends, and the night hides secrets that few dare to witness firsthand. The vanishing travelers, spectral hitchhikers, and unexplained phenomena make it a road where caution is not just advised, it is essential for survival. As Highway 27 in Lake County stretches through rural landscapes, dense woods, and isolated farmlands. A seemingly ordinary highway by day, but a place of chilling stories and unexplained phenomena after nightfall. For decades, locals and travelers alike have reported unsettling encounters along this route, earning it a reputation as one of Florida's most haunted highways. Its history is dotted with unsolved disappearances, mysterious lights, and shadowy figures that appear to move independently of any natural cause, leaving a lingering sense of fear among those who dare to drive its dark stretches. Many who traverse US-27 at night speak of an oppressive, almost tangible atmosphere. The air grows inexplicably cold, even during the sweltering Florida summers, and a heavy, silent tension seems to weigh down on the vehicle, as if unseen eyes are following every turn. Witnesses often describe seeing shadow people emerging from the edges of the road, their forms dark and indistinct but unmistakably humanoid. These figures appear suddenly, crossing lanes or standing near the roadside, vanishing when approached. Drivers report that swerving to avoid these apparitions often results in a disorienting feeling, as if time and distance warp, leaving them further down the road than they expected, unsure of what truly happened. Another recurring phenomenon involves glowing orbs that seem to follow vehicles along the highway. Descriptions vary. Some see small, white lights hovering at the edge of the road, while others witness larger, orange-red spheres drifting between the trees. These lights appear to respond to the movement of cars, darting forward when drivers accelerate and hovering still when vehicles stop. Paranormal enthusiasts who have investigated US-27 often suggest that these orbs are manifestations of spirits trapped between worlds, endlessly wandering the spaces where tragedy has occurred. The road has earned its grim reputation, due in part to multiple unsolved disappearances over the decades. Locals speak of travelers who set out along the highway at night, only to vanish without a trace. Abandoned cars have been found in isolated areas, doors unlocked, keys in the ignition, and personal belongings left behind. In some cases, search efforts yielded nothing, and the missing individuals were never located. These disappearances contribute to the highway's mystique, leaving both residents and visitors wary of venturing out after dark. Muffled screams are another eerie phenomenon reported along US-27. Drivers recount hearing cries for help that seem to come from the dense woods lining the highway. The sounds are often faint, distant, and impossible to trace, fading whenever anyone attempts to locate their source. Some believe these are echoes from past tragedies, trapped in time, repeating moments of fear and pain that occurred on or near the road. Others speculate that the screams are warnings from spirits trying to protect travelers from the same fate that befell previous victims. Environmental conditions along the highway amplify the terror. Fog often rolls in suddenly, reducing visibility to near zero, and dense tree lines create shadows that play tricks on the mind. The quiet of the surrounding forest and farmlands makes any sound footsteps, a snapping branch, or distant animal call seem amplified, adding to the sense that the road itself is alive with unseen presences. Many drivers report that familiar landmarks appear out of place or seem to shift along the road, further heightening the disorienting and supernatural experience. Some travelers have encountered what locals call phantom travelers. These are ghostly figures, often seen hitchhiking or walking along the shoulder, who vanish before they can be approached. In some cases, drivers report picking up these figures only to have them disappear from the vehicle without explanation. Witnesses describe sensations of cold air, sudden chills, and a sense of being watched even after the figure is gone. Paranormal investigators suggest these spirits may be victims of past accidents along the highway, eternally trapped, replaying the final moments of their lives. Reports also include mechanical anomalies. Vehicles often stall or behave strangely when drivers pass through certain stretches. Headlights flicker, radios turn on and off without input, and engines occasionally rev unexpectedly. Many attribute these events to the spirits inhabiting the road, while skeptics suggest electrical interference or environmental causes. Regardless of the explanation, these incidents leave drivers unnerved and hesitant to travel US 27 after nightfall. Over the years, the stories of US Highway 27 have become embedded in local folklore. Residents warn outsiders of the highway's dangers, sharing tales of vanishing drivers, shadow people, and disembodied cries. Some claim that those who approach the road recklessly or with disbelief are more likely to experience paranormal phenomena, suggesting a connection between attention, fear, and the manifestations. Others approach the highway as a challenge or adventure, hoping to witness the mysterious activity firsthand, though many leave unnerved and unwilling to return. Despite the fear it evokes, US Highway 27 remains a vital route for residents and travelers alike. A road of both practicality and legend, its haunted reputation has drawn paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and journalists eager to document the eerie experiences reported along the way. Many leave with recordings of strange lights, shadowy movements, or faint audio capturing whispers and cries that cannot be explained. These documented encounters further fuel the stories of the haunted highway and cement its place in Florida's pantheon of supernatural sights. Travelers on US Highway 27 in Lake County are advised to exercise extreme caution, especially after dark. Be alert for sudden figures on the roadway, strange lights in the trees, and unexpected mechanical disturbances. Respect the warnings passed down by locals and approach the highway with both curiosity and caution. The road's legacy of disappearances, shadow people, glowing orbs, and muffled screams makes it more than just a stretch of pavement. It is a living reminder that some highways are haunted in the truest sense. US Highway 27 is not merely a passage through Lake County, it is a corridor of the unknown. With vanishing travelers, restless spirits, and inexplicable phenomena, it is a highway where the dead and the living intersect. Every mile driven after dark carries the risk of encountering the supernatural, leaving those who dare traverse it with stories that linger long after the engine has stopped and the headlights fade. State Road 26 in Alachua County is a seemingly quiet highway by day, flanked by dense forests and open fields. Yet after dark, it transforms into a corridor of terror, where countless legends of disappearances and ghostly encounters have been whispered for generations. The road's eerie reputation stems from a series of strange occurrences reported by drivers and locals alike, making SR 26 one of Florida's most unsettling highways. Many travelers recount feeling a sudden disorientation while driving, as though the road itself has shifted beneath them. Some report starting their journey in familiar territory only to find themselves inexplicably miles away, unsure of how they arrived. Clocks on dashboards stop working, GPS devices fail, and even the stars in the sky seem to move in unnatural patterns. It's as if the highway exists outside the normal flow of time, a liminal space where reality is warped and the rules of navigation no longer apply. The forested edges of SR 26 are said to harbor ghostly figures. Drivers often see shadowy forms standing near the tree line, moving slowly, or darting between trees with unnatural speed. Some of these figures appear to be travelers from decades past, dressed in clothing that hints at an earlier era, their eyes hollow and expressionless. Others are said to be spectral children, wandering along the roadside, their laughter echoing eerily through the trees. The juxtaposition of innocence and fear in these apparitions unnerves even the most seasoned motorists. A particularly chilling phenomenon reported along SR 26 involves phantom hitchhikers, Drivers recount spotting solitary figures along the road, sometimes holding a lantern or waving for a ride. When approached, these travelers vanish without a trace, leaving only a sudden drop in temperature and the lingering scent of cold earth. Those who claim to have stopped to offer assistance report feeling a heavy presence in their vehicles, a sensation of being watched, and the overwhelming feeling that something unseen is guiding their path. Mechanical disturbances are common along SR-26. Cars stall unexpectedly, headlights flicker, and radios emit static or bursts of distorted voices. Many drivers insist that these events occur when the road becomes most isolated, far from any sign of civilization. Some theorists suggest that the paranormal energy along SR-26 interacts with electrical systems, while others believe these anomalies are manifestations of restless spirits attempting to communicate or influence the living. Regardless of the explanation, encountering such phenomena leaves drivers anxious and eager to reach the next stretch of familiar pavement. Several disappearances over the decades have added to the highway's dark lore. Drivers traveling alone at night have vanished without leaving any trace of their presence. Sometimes, vehicles are found abandoned along the shoulder, doors unlocked, and personal items scattered, as if the occupants simply ceased to exist. Locals warn that those who travel without caution or disbelief are more likely to experience strange events, suggesting that the road reacts to the mindset of those who traverse it. Some even claim that ignoring the sign's cold spots, sudden fog, flickering light scan result in being claimed by the spirits that linger along Senior 26. Muffled cries and whispers are frequently reported along the forested stretches of the highway. Some drivers hear voices calling their names. Others report faint pleas for help that fade when they try to locate the source. Paranormal investigators have captured audio that contains unexplained murmurs and whispers, lending credence to the idea that the spirits along Senior 26 are attempting to communicate or warn the living. Locals believe these voices belong to lost travelers, victims of accidents, or those who vanished mysteriously along the road over the decades. Fog and sudden weather changes further amplify the road's unnerving atmosphere. Thick mist often rolls across the pavement without warning, obscuring visibility and creating the sensation of moving through another realm. Trees close in unexpectedly, casting unnatural shadows that seem to shift as drivers pass. The combination of limited sight, eerie sounds, and the spectral figures along the roadside makes navigating SR-26 a nerve-wracking experience, even for those familiar with its route. Some of the most unsettling accounts involve travelers who encounter entire scenes seemingly frozen in time. Drivers have reported glimpsing ghostly campfires, old stagecoaches, or horse-drawn wagons along the shoulder, complete with spectral figures engaged in daily routines. Moments later, the scenes vanish, leaving only the empty road and the lingering scent of smoke or leather. These visions suggest that SR-26 serves as a bridge to the past, a place where history continues to play out for the spirits unable to move on. Local folklore reinforces the sense of caution surrounding the highway. Residents tell stories of people who, after experiencing the supernatural, are too frightened to speak of it publicly. Some mark the road with symbols or carry protective charms, believing these measures help ward off negative energies. Others simply avoid traveling SR-26 at night, aware that the combination of spectral figures, phantom voices, and mysterious disappearances makes it one of the most haunted roads in the region. State Road 26 in Alachua County is more than a simple route through Florida's landscape. It is a living testament to the unknown, a place where the past and present intersect, and where restless spirits linger, replaying their final moments or seeking interaction with the living. For those who travel it at night, the highway offers a chilling experience. Cold gusts that creep into the car, shadowy figures flitting between trees, and the constant, unnerving sense that you are not alone. Drivers report leaving the road with stories that linger, sometimes affecting them long after their journey ends. To traverse SR-26 is to enter a world of uncertainty and fear, with spectral children laughing along the shoulder, wandering travelers from decades past, and strange dislocations that defy reason. It is a road that demands respect. Those who venture here are advised to remain alert, maintain awareness of their surroundings, and heed the warnings passed down through generations. For this stretch of asphalt is more than a path, it is a corridor to the unknown, where the living and the dead share the same space, and where every mile carries the possibility of a brush with the supernatural. Interstate 75, cutting through the Ocala National Forest, has long been a source of unease for drivers, locals, and paranormal enthusiasts alike. While the highway serves as a vital artery connecting communities across Florida, the stretch that winds through the dense, shadowed pines carries a reputation far darker than the usual stories of traffic or road rage. Tales of vanished cars, mysterious brake lights appearing out of nowhere, and sudden, inexplicable accidents have been whispered for decades. Those familiar with this section of I-75 know that the forest surrounding it is more than just a backdrop of greenery. It is a place where spirits are said to linger and where the line between the living and the dead can feel unnervingly thin. Many travelers report experiencing sudden, inexplicable chills while driving along this stretch, even on the hottest Florida nights. A driver may be cruising along at a steady pace when a frigid gust of wind suddenly chills the cabin, followed by the eerie sensation that someone is watching from the tree line. Shadowy figures are occasionally glimpsed out of the corner of the eye, flickering through the trees or standing silently at the edge of the road, only to vanish when looked at directly. Some witnesses describe them as human-shaped, while others seem more ethereal, their outlines wavering like smoke in the dim light. Vanishing vehicles are perhaps the most infamous aspect of this haunted highway. Over the years, numerous accounts have surfaced of cars disappearing without a trace. In some cases, a vehicle may be seen swerving erratically, as though the driver is reacting to something unseen, only to be gone a few moments later. Sometimes, other drivers on the highway report seeing brake lights flash in front of them bright, urgent, and completely unoccupied. Attempts to follow or reach these phantom vehicles are invariably futile, and those who have stopped to investigate often feel a sudden, overwhelming sense of dread, compelling them to return to their own cars and continue driving without looking back. The forest itself seems to hold a presence. Dense pine trees, tangled underbrush, and fog that often drifts in without warning create an atmosphere ripe for fear and uncertainty. Drivers have reported hearing muffled cries, low whispers, or even the sound of tires skidding and engines revving when no other vehicles are in sight. Some of the most persistent legends speak of travelers who were never seen again, their stories passed down in hushed tones by locals who warn outsiders about the area. It is said that the forest holds the spirits of those who never made it home, bound to the dark woods by unfinished business or tragic endings. Accidents along this stretch of I-75 are also steeped in mystery. Many are attributed to sudden fog or slick conditions, yet eyewitnesses insist that some incidents defy explanation. Drivers report vehicles careening off the road for no apparent reason, only to find the area eerily devoid of hazards or obstacles. Others speak of collisions that seem to occur in slow motion, where the very air feels thick and oppressive. In the aftermath, emergency crews occasionally note the absence of skid marks or any mechanical failures, leaving them puzzled and contributing to the lore of the haunted highway. One recurring phenomenon involves spectral figures appearing on or near the road. Witnesses describe people dressed in outdated clothing, sometimes waving as if asking for a ride, only to disappear the instant the driver attempts to stop. These ghostly hitchhikers are said to be spirits of those who once traveled the highway but met untimely ends. Encounters are unnerving, often accompanied by sudden drops in temperature, the smell of damp earth or decaying leaves, and a creeping sense of being watched. Even the most skeptical drivers admit that there is something distinctly unnatural about the Ocala stretch of I-75. Several paranormal investigators have explored this area, documenting unusual occurrences and gathering anecdotal evidence. Many note that the highway seems to act as a conduit, amplifying the energies of those who died tragically along or near it. Electronic devices often malfunction during investigations, with cameras and recording equipment failing or capturing strange distortions. Some claim to have recorded shadowy figures moving across the road or appearing in the woods, while audio recordings sometimes pick up disembodied voices, footsteps, or whispers that cannot be explained by natural causes. The combination of dense forest, history of accidents, and reports of vanishings has created a culture of caution around this portion of I-75. Locals advise travelers to drive cautiously, avoid traveling alone at night, and remain vigilant for the unexplained. Some even perform small rituals or carry charms for protection, believing that acknowledging the supernatural forces present can reduce the likelihood of an encounter. Yet, many ghost hunters are drawn precisely by the stories of vanishings and unexplained phenomena, hoping to capture evidence of the highway's spectral activity. The Ocala National Forest section of I-75 is more than a mere passageway. It is a realm where fear and the unknown converge. Shadowy figures, phantom vehicles, and mysterious disappearances have etched the road into local lore as one of Florida's most haunted highways. Those who drive it at night often report leaving with a lingering unease, a sense that they have glimpsed another world just beyond the tree line. Each mile traveled is a reminder that some roads carry more than just asphalt. They carry memories, energy, and spirits that refuse to move on. For anyone brave enough to venture along this stretch of I-75, vigilance is key. Keep your eyes on the road, but remain aware of the shadows along the forested edges. Listen carefully for whispers that may not belong to the living, and respect the history of those who vanished here. This highway is a haunting testament to the unexplained, a place where the living brush against the remnants of tragedy, and where every mile holds the potential for a chilling encounter with the paranormal. Those who travel it carry the memory with them long after they leave the forest behind. A reminder that some roads in Florida are best approached with caution, reverence, and an open mind. State Road 44 in Sumter County is a stretch of highway that has earned a reputation few roads dare to rival. Winding through isolated swamplands and dense forested areas, the road is as atmospheric as it is foreboding, with the thick cypress trees creating shadows that seem to move on their own and the murky waters reflecting more than just moonlight. Locals warn travelers that this stretch of SR 44 is not simply a road, but a place where the boundary between the living and the dead is thin, a corridor where spirits of the past are said to linger, unseen but ever present. For decades, drivers have reported unnerving experiences on Senior 44. One of the most common accounts involves figures in old-fashioned clothing appearing in the middle of the road. These figures are described as being from another era, men in dusty suits and wide-brimmed hats, women in long, flowing dresses with bonnets. They often appear suddenly, standing motionless as vehicles approach. Those who try to stop or swerve to avoid them describe a chilling phenomenon. When the car slows or stops, the figures vanish entirely, leaving the road empty, yet somehow heavier, with a lingering sense of presence. It is not only visual apparitions that have unsettled travelers. Many have described hearing footsteps trailing their vehicles, echoing through the swamps, even when no one is behind them. The sound often grows louder the longer one drives, only to fade suddenly when the vehicle reaches a certain point, leaving the driver shaken and disoriented. Some drivers have reported whispers, faint and unintelligible, brushing past their ears as though the air itself carries voices from another time. These experiences are so consistent that SR 44 has become notorious among ghost enthusiasts and paranormal investigators alike. Vanishing and sudden reappearance of vehicles is another eerie aspect of SR 44. Some travelers recount being followed by a phantom car, its headlights piercing the darkness. Yet, when they glance in the rearview mirror, no vehicle is there. Others report losing all sense of direction, driving for miles and suddenly realizing they are back at a point they passed much earlier, as if the road itself loops in a way that defies logic. In some cases, people have stopped to explore, only to hear the unmistakable sound of footsteps or faint splashes in the swamp, growing ever closer even when no one is in sight. The swamplands along Senior 44 seem to hold their own energy. Mist rises from the water, often thick enough to obscure vision completely. Yet drivers swear they see shapes moving just beyond the fog. Branches snap without wind, and the air can shift from still and humid to icy cold in an instant. Many believe that the spirits haunting this road are tied to its history and area, once traversed by settlers, outlaws, and travelers who may have met tragic ends. Legends speak of accidents, murders, and mysterious disappearances that occurred long before the highway was paved, suggesting that the energy of loss and fear remains embedded in the land. Some of the most persistent legends surrounding SR-44 involve travelers who vanished without a trace. Locals tell of people who left town one evening and were never heard from again. Vehicles are sometimes found abandoned along the roadside, doors unlocked and belongings intact, yet the occupants have disappeared. These disappearances have contributed to the road's fearsome reputation, creating an aura of tension that even daytime travelers report sensing. Paranormal investigators often cite SR-44 as one of the most active roads in Florida for unexplained activity, with evidence ranging from anomalous EMF readings to recordings of disembodied voices on audio devices. Visitors who attempt to document their experiences often report strange malfunctions with electronic equipment. Cameras flicker or fail entirely, and phones lose signal at seemingly random moments. Some even capture shadowy figures on film, their edges blurred and shifting, almost as if they exist partially out of phase with the physical world. These anomalies add a layer of credibility to the accounts, making Senior 44 a focal point for those studying paranormal phenomena. The psychological effect of driving SR-44 cannot be underestimated. Even those skeptical of the supernatural often feel an inexplicable dread while traveling the road. The isolation, combined with the dense swamp and the uncanny phenomena, creates a sense of being watched or followed. Drivers frequently report heightened awareness, with even minor sounds or movements setting off deep-seated anxiety. Some make a habit of traveling this stretch only during daylight hours, while others embrace the darkness in the hopes of witnessing one of the ghostly apparitions firsthand. Ultimately, State Road 44 in Sumter County is a place where history and legend converge, a road that carries not just vehicles but echoes of the past, from phantom figures in old clothing to footsteps that follow travelers through the swamps. SR-44 challenges the perception of reality for those who dare to traverse it. The stories of vanishings, shadowy watchers, and unexplained phenomena have persisted for decades, ensuring that this stretch of highway remains etched in local folklore as one of Florida's most haunted and unsettling roads. For anyone venturing onto SR-44, caution is essential. Respect the road, its swamps, and the spirits said to linger there. Keep your headlights on, your hands steady on the wheel, and your mind alert to the possibility that what you see or think you see may not be of this world. Those who travel the road often leave with more than just memories. They carry the lingering impression of a place where the living meet the restless, a stretch of Florida asphalt that refuses to be merely forgotten. The shadows along State Road 44 are patient, silent, and ever watchful, ensuring that the legend endures, mile after haunted mile. S Highway 1, stretching across the Florida Keys as the iconic Overseas Highway, is known for its breathtaking views of the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. Yet beneath its tropical allure lies a reputation steeped in eerie tales and paranormal sightings. For decades, locals and travelers alike have whispered about strange events along this narrow, winding route that connects the islands to the mainland. The highway is not just a road. For many, it is a corridor to the unknown, where the boundary between the living and the dead is frighteningly thin. Drivers along U.S. Highway 1 often report sudden, inexplicable phenomena. Vehicles sometimes stall for no mechanical reason, even on well-maintained stretches of pavement. Others recount the sensation of being followed by unseen entities, headlights flickering in the distance, only to vanish when one tries to verify them. Shadows dart across the road, often glimpsed out of the corner of the eye, and some travelers claim to have narrowly avoided collisions with ghostly figures that seem to emerge from the darkness and disappear just as quickly. Perhaps the most chilling reports come from those who have witnessed ghostly ships floating offshore at night. From the roadway, these apparitions appear as faintly glowing vessels anchored in the inky waters between the islands. Some travelers describe seeing crews dressed in old-fashioned nautical clothing, moving about the decks as though caught in an endless loop of a bygone era. Mariners and locals alike whispered that these are the spirits of sailors who perished at sea, forever trying to reach land, their vessels trapped in a spectral limbo between the Florida Keys and the mainland. The lights of these ghostly ships often flicker in rhythm with the stars, giving the eerie impression that the water itself is alive with restless souls. On the land itself, US Highway 1 has claimed its own share of disappearances. Travelers have reported that cars simply vanish, leaving behind abandoned vehicles with doors unlocked and keys still in the ignition. Some who investigate report hearing faint cries or whispers carried on the ocean breeze, as if the lost travelers themselves are calling out from beyond. Others recount seeing phantom hitchhikers, often dressed in outdated clothing, who vanish the moment a vehicle approaches. These sightings are so consistent that locals rarely travel the highway after sunset, fearing they might encounter one of the many spirits said to linger along the route. One of the more pervasive legends involves the 7-mile bridge, a long span connecting the Middle Keys to the Lower Keys. Many drivers recount seeing shadowy figures walking along the bridge at night, sometimes accompanied by the distant sounds of water lapping against unseen holes. Some claim to feel a sudden chill even on warm, tropical nights and report a strange heaviness in the air, as though the bridge itself is saturated with the energy of those who met untimely deaths in the waters below. Paranormal investigators who have attempted to document these occurrences often find that their cameras and recording devices malfunction inexplicably, adding to the sense that the area is imbued with forces beyond ordinary understanding. The road also carries a history of maritime tragedies. Shipwrecks, storms, and maritime accidents have claimed countless lives over the centuries, and it is widely believed that some of the souls never found peace. The restless energy of those lost at sea seems to seep inland, affecting travelers on the highway. Many recount feeling watched, hearing the faint creak of rigging, or seeing distant lanterns bobbing along the shoreline. Some drivers report phantom sirens or faint music reminiscent of sea shanties, as if the water itself is recounting the stories of lost mariners. Despite these terrifying accounts, the highway is not entirely avoided. Paranormal enthusiasts, ghost hunters, and thrill seekers often venture out to witness the strange occurrences firsthand. These brave souls frequently document encounters with shadow figures, fleeting lights on the water, and cold gusts of wind that seem to originate from nowhere. Some have even claimed to capture images of the ghostly vessels floating offshore, their ethereal forms impossibly reflected on the water's surface. Locals often offer advice to travelers: drive slowly at night, avoid stopping for strangers, and keep a careful eye on the horizon. Many believe that the spirits along US Highway 1 are not inherently malevolent, but they are restless and unpredictable. The highway, with its long stretches of isolation, winding bridges, and proximity to open water, creates the perfect setting for encounters with the unknown. It is a place where past and present collide, where the memories of lost souls intermingle with the headlights of modern vehicles, and where the living can feel the weight of the departed pressing close. Those who have driven the overseas highway at night often speak of an indescribable atmosphere, a mixture of awe and dread. The open water reflects the moonlight, the wind carries a scent of salt and decay, and every shadow seems alive with movement. The combination of natural beauty and paranormal activity makes US Highway 1 a uniquely unsettling experience, one that stays with travelers long after they leave the Keys. Ultimately, US Highway 1 is more than just a road connecting islands. It is a living testament to the stories of those who have been lost to the sea, those who vanished along the pavement, and the restless spirits who linger in both water and land. From ghostly ships to spectral hitchhikers, from phantom lights to vanished vehicles, the highway offers a chilling reminder that not all who travel the Florida Keys arrive at their intended destination. Travelers along this haunted route are forever aware that the night holds secrets, that the waters and woods conceal spirits, and that the boundaries between the living and the dead are perhaps far thinner than anyone dares to believe. Those who drive us Highway 1 do so with caution, respect, and a lingering sense of unease, knowing that the road carries more than just asphalt and vehicles. It carries the stories, sorrow, and restless energy of generations past. A spectral thread woven through the keys that refuses to fade with time. State Road 40, stretching from Ocala to Ormond Beach, may seem like a simple route connecting Central Florida to the Atlantic coast, but for those who travel it after dark, it becomes a corridor of the supernatural. Locals whisper about strange occurrences along this highway, warning that its quiet stretches are home to restless spirits and inexplicable phenomena. Over the years, drivers have reported experiences that range from eerie chills to outright terrifying encounters, making Senior RD a well-known destination for thrill-seekers and paranormal enthusiasts. One of the most common stories involves vanishing hitchhikers. Travelers late at night often see figures standing by the roadside, sometimes waving frantically for a ride. These figures are usually described as pale, disoriented, or dressed in outdated clothing that hints at an earlier era. Those who stop and offer assistance report the hitchhiker climbing into the back seat silently, only to vanish when the car reaches a bend in the road. Some claim to feel a cold breath on the back of their neck or hear faint sobbing in the silence after the figure disappears, leaving them shaken and bewildered. Another frequent phenomenon along Senior 40 involves spectral motorcyclists. Drivers recount seeing headlights in the distance, approaching fast along empty stretches of road. As the phantom motorcycle passes, it emits no sound, no wind disturbance, just a fleeting, ghostly presence. Witnesses often experience a sudden sense of danger, as if the apparition could collide with them at any moment, yet it always vanishes before impact. Many locals believe these spirits are riders who died tragically along the highway, doomed to repeat their final journey endlessly. The wooded areas lining CIR 40 also contribute to its haunted reputation. Strange lights have been reported hovering among the trees, often moving in unnatural ways. Some travelers describe them as small orbs, glowing softly and drifting above the underbrush, while others claim to see larger, lantern-like lights bobbing along the roadside as if guiding or warning the living. Shadows frequently appear in the periphery, moving between trees or across the asphalt. Many drivers report an overwhelming feeling of being watched, a sensation that persists long after the lights have vanished and the road ahead appears empty. Several stretches of Senior 40 have been the scene of unexplained accidents, often involving single vehicles that appear to swerve suddenly or lose control without any mechanical reason. Some attribute this to restless spirits influencing the living, or to an otherworldly presence that claims travelers as it did in decades past. Locals tell stories of people driving this route at night and encountering dense fog or sudden gusts of cold wind that seem to come from nowhere, sometimes accompanied by inexplicable engine failure or flickering headlights. Historical context adds depth to the legends surrounding Senior 40. The road passes through areas that were once rural homesteads, logging operations, and early settlements. Tragedies occurred frequently in these isolated stretches. Fatal accidents, sudden illnesses, and violent encounters, all of which are said to have left lingering spirits behind. Ghost hunters and paranormal investigators often note that the road's long, straight stretches, lined with thick trees and quiet fields, create perfect conditions for spectral activity. Nighttime explorations frequently yield reports of orbs on camera, EVP recordings capturing faint voices, and motion sensors detecting inexplicable movement. Witnesses often share experiences of disorientation along Senior 40. Drivers report suddenly finding themselves much further down the road than they should be, as if the highway itself has shifted or bent space. Some claim to glimpse apparitions standing directly in the lane ahead, causing them to swerve or stop entirely. When they return to the same spot minutes later, there is no one there, and no tire marks suggestive of someone leaving on foot. Others have seen old-fashioned vehicles appear in their headlights, only to vanish into thin air when approached, leaving behind only a lingering sense of dread. The psychological impact of Senior 40 cannot be underestimated. Many who traverse the road after dark report feelings of unease, paranoia, and an almost tangible sense of being followed. Even those familiar with the route often find themselves gripping the wheel tightly, glancing into the shadows, and imagining movement where none exists. The combination of natural isolation, historic tragedies, and documented paranormal sightings has cemented Senior 40 as one of Florida's most infamous haunted roads. Some locals advise caution. Travel with company. Avoid stopping for lone figures, and be prepared for sudden, inexplicable phenomena. Paranormal enthusiasts continue to flock to the route in search of encounters, documenting unusual lights, cold spots, and fleeting figures that vanish upon approach. Many report capturing images or sounds that defy explanation, further fueling the road's reputation. Ultimately, Senior 40 is more than just a highway. It is a place where past tragedies, restless spirits, and mysterious phenomena converge. Vanishing hitchhikers, spectral motorcyclists, and strange lights serve as constant reminders that the road is alive with memories of those who have never left. Those who travel it at night are acutely aware that the boundaries between the living and the dead are tenuous, that every shadow could conceal a presence from another time, and that the quiet stretches of asphalt may hide more than meets the eye. For those daring enough to drive State Road 40 from Ocala to Ormond Beach after dark, the experience is unforgettable. Every mile holds the possibility of a ghostly encounter. Every bend in the road may reveal a fleeting figure, and every rustle in the trees could be the sound of a spirit seeking attention. SR 40 is a chilling testament to Florida's haunted history, a road where the past never truly lets go, and where the living are reminded that some places remain forever touched by the supernatural. State Road 50, stretching through the Claremont area, is a route that has earned a sinister reputation over the decades. Locals and travelers alike warn that this seemingly ordinary highway harbors unexplained phenomena, strange disappearances, and ghostly encounters that have left even seasoned drivers shaken. The road itself winds through stretches of dense forest, rolling hills, and quiet countryside, making it an ideal backdrop for chilling experiences that blur the line between reality and the supernatural. Many who drive SR 50 after dark report experiencing sudden, inexplicable changes in temperature. Warm summer nights can turn icy cold within moments, with no wind or storm in sight. Some travelers recount feeling a pressure in the car, a sensation as if something unseen is pressing against a vehicle. This sudden shift in atmosphere is often accompanied by an eerie silence, broken only by faint whispers that seem to come from nowhere. In some cases, the voices call the driver by name, urging them to pull over or leave the road entirely. Those who resist often speak of an overwhelming sense of unease, as if unseen eyes are following their every movement. Disappearances along Senior 50 contribute heavily to its haunted reputation. Over the years, there have been numerous reports of drivers vanishing without explanation. Witnesses sometimes find abandoned vehicles with doors left unlocked and keys in the ignition, yet no sign of the occupants. In other cases, travelers describe feeling as though hours have passed without notice, only to realize they are miles down the road from where they last remembered being. Some claim to have experienced complete blackouts, waking later to find themselves inexplicably parked on the roadside, disoriented and unsure of how they arrived there. These occurrences have led locals to believe that something malevolent haunts this stretch of highway, preying on travelers who drive it after dark. Phantom figures are a common sight along Senior 50. Witnesses describe shadowy forms emerging from the tree line or standing directly in the road, motionless and silent. These figures often wear clothing that appears outdated, suggesting they may be echoes of people from decades past. Drivers frequently swerve or slam on brakes, only for the figure to vanish before impact, leaving behind an oppressive sense of dread. Some have reported seeing ghostly hitchhikers, who appeared distraught or pleading for help, only to disappear into thin air once the vehicle approaches. The encounters leave lasting impressions, and many who experience them refuse to drive SR50 again after nightfall. Unusual lights and orbs also play a prominent role in the haunting of this road. Some travelers report seeing glowing orbs floating along the roadside, bobbing in and out of view, or hovering above the pavement. Others describe headlights or lanterns appearing in the distance, moving toward them at impossible speeds, only to vanish before they reach the car. Paranormal investigators who have explored the area suggest that these lights may be manifestations of restless spirits or residual energy tied to the tragedies that have occurred along the highway. Regardless of the explanation, these phenomena consistently contribute to the unsettling atmosphere of Senior 50. Historical events in the Claremont area lend context to the road's eerie reputation. The region has witnessed accidents, sudden deaths, and violent confrontations over the decades, particularly in the early 20th century when rural travel was more treacherous. Local folklore suggests that the spirits of those who perished along the road never fully moved on. These lingering presences are believed to be responsible for the strange lights, sudden chills, and ghostly figures that travelers continue to report. Some residents claim to have seen apparitions of women in white walking along the shoulders, while others speak of shadowy men emerging from the tree line only to dissolve when approached. Many drivers also experience a profound sense of disorientation on Senior 50. Even those familiar with the route report suddenly finding themselves in unfamiliar stretches, unsure of how they arrived there. GPS devices sometimes malfunction in the middle of the drive, or display impossible coordinates that place travelers deep in the woods. This sense of spatial distortion is often accompanied by auditory hallucinations, footsteps behind the vehicle, whispered warnings, or the faint sound of distant engines that are never visible. These combined sensations create a terrifying experience that leaves drivers feeling vulnerable and unsettled long after they reach their destination. Some paranormal investigators have spent nights along SR50, documenting the occurrences. Many report capturing unexplained orbs on camera, recording disembodied voices on audio devices, and detecting sudden temperature fluctuations with thermal equipment. In several cases, motion sensors have been triggered, despite no living creature being present. Locals insist that the road holds more than just restless spirits. They believe some unseen force actively manipulates time and space along the highway, creating blackouts and causing travelers to vanish for hours at a time. For those daring enough to travel State Road 50 at night, the experience is unforgettable and often deeply unsettling. Phantom voices, vanishing figures, and sudden, unexplained chills combine to create an atmosphere thick with tension. Each mile brings the possibility of encountering something not of this world, and every shadow seems to hold a story from the past, a spirit trapped between life and death. Drivers are warned to proceed with caution, to remain alert, and to respect the history of the road, as it is clear that Senior 50 is not just a simple highway. It's a place where the living and the dead intersect, where the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and where some travelers never truly make it to the other side. State Road 50 remains a chilling reminder that even the most mundane routes can harbor dark secrets. Its history of disappearances, ghostly figures, and unexplained phenomena ensures that it will remain a destination for thrill seekers, paranormal enthusiasts, and those brave enough to confront the unknown. Driving this road after dark is more than a journey, it is a brush with the supernatural, a test of courage, and a stark reminder that some highways are haunted in ways that defy explanation. US Highway 192, stretching through Kissimmee and beyond, is a road that most associate with theme parks, shopping districts, and bustling tourist traffic. Yet, beneath the cheerful exterior lies a stretch of asphalt shrouded in mystery and haunted by strange, unexplainable phenomena. Travelers who venture along its quieter portions at night report eerie experiences that suggest the road carries a dark, lingering energy from decades past. Many of the haunting tales center on vanishing pedestrians. Drivers often describe seeing people standing along the roadside, appearing lost or in distress. Some seem dressed in outdated clothing, as if they stepped out of a different era. In nearly every account, when approached, these figures disappear entirely. Sometimes right in front of the car, leaving behind only the eerie sensation that something or someone was there moments before. In some cases, witnesses report hearing the faint sound of footsteps or the echo of a muffled conversation. But when they look around, the road is empty and the night is silent. Phantom tourists are another recurring phenomenon along Highway 192. Late at night, especially in less populated stretches, drivers claim to see people strolling as if part of an old festival or parade, though no events are scheduled. These spectral visitors often vanish when the vehicle draws near, leaving behind only the faint smell of perfume, smoke, or food from another era. Some drivers report hearing laughter, sometimes joyful, sometimes tinged with fear, that seems to come from the shadows, following them 4 blocks along the highway before fading abruptly. One of the most chilling elements of Highway 192's haunted reputation involves passengers who vanish from cars. A common story involves drivers picking up hitchhikers, often lost-looking tourists, and engaging in brief conversations. The hitchhiker may ask for directions, speak about the area, or recount personal details that seem oddly familiar. However, before reaching their destination, the passenger disappears completely, sometimes leaving the seat still warm but empty. In other instances, drivers report looking in the rearview mirror to see the figure dissolve into mist or blur into nothingness. The experience leaves a lingering unease, with many swearing they never travel this road alone at night again. The road also seems to carry unexplained sounds. Motorists report hearing crying, whispers, and even footsteps on the asphalt, despite the absence of any living pedestrian nearby. Some claim to hear the faint honking of horns or the rush of invisible traffic, as though phantom vehicles are speeding alongside them. These auditory hallucinations are often accompanied by visual anomalies, shadows flickering at the edges of vision, lights appearing and disappearing in the distance, and figures stepping out from the roadside trees before vanishing. Several local legends attempt to explain the strange occurrences along Highway 192. Some suggest that the road is haunted by tourists who met untimely deaths decades ago, their spirits forever tied to the places they loved. Others believe the area acts as a liminal space, a thin veil between the living world and a shadowed dimension, causing lost travelers from all eras to appear in fleeting glimpses. Paranormal enthusiasts who have investigated the highway report capturing orbs on camera, recording disembodied voices, and even detecting sudden temperature drops in isolated areas, phenomena that reinforce the sense that Highway 192 is a crossing point for restless spirits. Vanishing figures are not the only strange occurrences. Many drivers speak of time distortions while on the road. Some recount leaving a populated area, only to suddenly find themselves in the middle of a remote stretch of road with no memory of how they arrived there. Others describe missing hours during late-night drives, with no explanation for the elapsed time. GPS devices often malfunction, showing roads that do not exist or leading travelers in circles, as if the highway itself has a will of its own. The highway's haunted reputation has grown in part because of its proximity to areas with rich history. Surrounding lands were once sites of early settlements, small-town tragedies, and forgotten roadside accidents. Some locals believe that the spirits tied to these events have never left, and that Highway 192 acts as a corridor, allowing the dead to mingle briefly with the living. The phantom pedestrians, vanishing tourists, and strange lights are often thought to be residual echoes of these tragedies, caught in an endless loop of presence and disappearance. Even modern travelers report odd visual phenomena. Streetlights sometimes flicker without electrical cause, and headlights of oncoming cars occasionally appear as if too close or too far away, creating a disorienting effect. Some drivers have seen misty figures walking along the median or darting between parked vehicles, only to vanish when approached. The combination of auditory, visual, and tactile sensations contributes to a chilling atmosphere. making even familiar sections of Highway 192 feel unfamiliar and menacing after dark. Those who are brave enough to venture onto Highway 192 at night describe a mixture of fear and fascination. The road is ordinary in daylight, filled with vehicles, signage, and bustling energy. But as the sun sets, it transforms into a place where the boundaries between the living and the dead blur, and the past asserts itself in ways that are both subtle and terrifying. Drivers often recount that even a short drive can feel like a journey through time, with fleeting glimpses of figures from bygone eras, phantom laughter, and the unnerving sense of being watched. Despite the eerie reputation, the highway continues to be a necessary route for locals and tourists alike. Paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and even curious locals have returned again and again, drawn by the road's mysteries and the challenge of experiencing its hauntings firsthand. Stories of vanishing pedestrians and phantom tourists continue to circulate, adding layers to the highway's legend. Travelers are warned to exercise caution, remain alert, and respect the strange energies that linger here. Highway 192 in Kissimmee is far more than a simple tourist route. Its quiet stretches, after dark, are home to unexplained phenomena, restless spirits, and ghostly echoes that can chill the bravest driver. The vanishing pedestrians, disembodied voices, and fleeting laughter create an environment where reality seems to bend, leaving travelers questioning what they saw, heard, or felt. For those willing to experience the supernatural firsthand, Highway 192 offers a haunting glimpse into the unseen world, a road where the ordinary becomes terrifying, and where the past never truly fades. State Road 44 near Crystal River is a route that carries more than just commuters and tourists. It carries whispers of the past, echoing along its quiet stretches. Locals speak of the road in hushed tones, warning travelers that after dark, SR 44 transforms into a corridor between the living and the dead. This particular stretch is infamous for strange phenomena, unusual disappearances, and ghostly sightings tied to the area's rich history of fishing communities and riverfront settlements. Many stories center around fishermen who once worked along the Crystal River. Decades ago, several men vanished under mysterious circumstances, leaving behind empty boats and abandoned gear. Over time, these incidents faded from newspaper headlines, but never from local memory. Today, it is said that the spirits of these lost fishermen continue to wander near the riverbanks, crossing the road at night or appearing as faint, glowing figures hovering above the asphalt. Drivers report seeing them suddenly materialize in the headlights, only to vanish without a trace, leaving an icy chill and a sense of deep unease. Witnesses describe the spectral figures in vivid detail. Some see men in weathered clothing, their faces pale and indistinct, holding fishing poles as if preparing to cast a line into the darkness. Others describe soft glowing lights bobbing along the roadside, resembling lanterns or small orbs, drifting toward the center of the road before fading into thin air. These apparitions are often seen alone or in small groups, sometimes mimicking actions from their former lives, such as hauling nets or repairing boats, as though stuck in a loop of the final moments before their disappearance. The hauntings of Senior 44 are not limited to visual encounters. Drivers report hearing the sounds of water lapping against unseen holes, the clinking of chains, and low murmurs of conversation that seem to come from the roadside trees or riverbanks. Some motorists describe the smell of wet wood, old rope, and salt water suddenly filling the air, even when the surrounding environment is dry and inland. Others report phantom engine noises, as if boats were powering through the river waters just out of sight. Several local legends attempt to explain the persistent supernatural activity. Some say the fishermen's spirits are trapped because of unfinished business, possibly an accident or betrayal that occurred along the river decades ago. Others believe that the river itself holds an energy that anchors lost souls, creating a liminal space where the living and the dead overlap. Paranormal investigators who have visited SR 44 report capturing faint orbs on camera recording, EVPs of voices whispering names, and detecting sudden drops in temperature along the road. reinforcing the idea that the area is highly charged with residual energy. Drivers have also described more direct encounters. Some report seeing figures step into the roadway, forcing them to brake suddenly or swerve to avoid a collision, only for the figure to vanish the moment the car comes to a stop. Others speak of glimpsing silhouettes moving along the shoulders, their forms elongating and fading as if caught between dimensions. A few claim to have even felt a brush against their hands or arms, though no one else was present. These unsettling experiences have cemented SR-44 as a place where caution is not just wise, it is essential. The haunted stretch of SR-44 is also marked by time distortions. Travelers recount leaving a populated area and suddenly finding themselves on an isolated stretch of road with no memory of how they arrived there. GPS devices sometimes behave erratically, showing false intersections or looping drivers in circles. These temporal anomalies add to the road's reputation as a space where reality bends, creating an environment in which the past and present collide. Locals advise that those traveling the route at night should keep their headlights on high, avoid stopping unnecessarily, and remain alert for sudden shadows or glowing figures. Some also warn against trying to engage with the apparitions, believing that drawing attention to the spirits may provoke unsettling interactions. Despite these warnings, the road continues to attract curiosity seekers and paranormal enthusiasts, all hoping to witness the strange phenomena firsthand. Interestingly, even during daylight, the stretch carries a subtle unease. The landscape itself seems different. Along this section, dense trees crowd the road, the river sometimes visible through gaps in the foliage, and the quiet hum of nature, punctuated by sudden silences that feel deliberate. Locals often say that the road's energy is always present, but it is most potent after dark, when the lost fishermen allegedly walk among the living once more. State Road 44 near Crystal River stands as a reminder of the thin boundary between life and death, between the seen and the unseen. Its haunted reputation is anchored in real stories of vanished fishermen, unexplained phenomena, and countless eerie sightings reported by drivers over the decades. The glowing figures, mysterious sounds, and sudden disappearances create a road that is both ordinary and terrifying, a place where the past asserts itself in the present. For those brave enough to travel it, SR-44 offers a glimpse into a world that is often hidden just beyond perception. The road is not just a pathway to a destination, it is a haunted corridor, where spirits remain tied to the land they once loved. Travelers leave with stories of spectral figures, phantom sounds, and unexplainable chills, all of which continue to fuel the legends surrounding this eerie stretch of highway. State Road 44 is more than asphalt and signage. It is a place where history, tragedy, and the supernatural converge. Those who encounter its ghostly phenomena are reminded that some roads do not merely lead from one place to another, they lead directly into the mysteries of the unknown. Thus, Highway 27 in Sebring, Florida, is far more than a mere stretch of asphalt connecting towns. It is a place shrouded in mystery, fear, and the unknown. For decades, locals have whispered about the road's eerie reputation, warning travelers to remain vigilant after dark. Stories of vanishing drivers, phantom vehicles, and ghostly figures have persisted for generations, making US 27 a hotspot for paranormal activity in the Sunshine State. The road itself winds through sparsely populated areas, lined with thick trees and occasional swampland, creating an atmosphere of isolation that only heightens the tension for anyone traveling at night. Many witnesses claim that the surrounding darkness feels almost alive, pressing against the vehicle as if the night itself is aware of their presence. It is along this desolate stretch that countless unexplained disappearances have occurred, leaving behind only abandoned cars, personal belongings, or simply unanswered questions. One of the most common reports involves drivers seeing shadowy vehicles appear seemingly out of nowhere. These phantom cars often mimic the movements of the person driving, matching speed, lane changes, even aggressive maneuvers. But when drivers attempt to get a closer look or overtake them, the cars vanish as if dissolving into thin air. Some motorists describe the feeling as being tailed by a doppelganger, an entity that mirrors their every action, only to leave them shaken when it disappears without warning. Fog is another recurring phenomenon along this portion of US 27. Many drivers recount sudden thick banks of mist appearing in the middle of a clear night, reducing visibility to just a few feet. Some say the fog is almost tactile, pressing against the vehicle as though it has weight. Within this mist, shadowy figures are said to materialize, often walking along the median or the roadside. Drivers frequently slam on brakes to avoid hitting what seems to be a person, only for the figure to vanish when headlights illuminate it, leaving an unsettling silence in its wake. Eyewitnesses also describe figures that seem human, yet ethereal. These specters are often seen walking slowly along the side of the road or in the median, appearing wet, pale, or shrouded in shadows. Some witnesses report that the figures make no sound, while others claim to hear faint footsteps or muffled cries that cannot be traced. The most terrifying accounts describe a figure suddenly stepping into the lane, forcing drivers to swerve or stop abruptly, only to discover that the road ahead is empty. Such experiences have left many shaken, with the feeling that unseen eyes are always watching. Paranormal investigators have taken an interest in US 27, citing the high number of reported phenomena along the Sebring stretch. Cameras often capture unexplained orbs, shadow movements, and figures that disappear upon approach. Some investigators believe that the road may serve as a crossroads of energy, where the boundary between the living and the dead is unusually thin. Local lore supports this idea, claiming that the spirits of those who vanished decades ago remain tethered to the highway, replaying their final moments or attempting to communicate with the living. Time distortions are another element reported by travelers. Several drivers have recounted leaving a well-lit section of the road, only to find themselves in unfamiliar territory within moments, with GPS devices showing impossible coordinates or looping routes. These temporal anomalies contribute to the feeling of disorientation that many experience on US 27, reinforcing the notion that the road itself is not bound by normal rules. Some locals offer theories for the hauntings. Stories tell of accidents and disappearances stretching back decades, involving both motorists and pedestrians. Others suggest that the dense woods and swamps lining the highway conceal entities that have existed in the area for centuries, feeding on the fears of those who pass by. Folklore also hints at old settlements that once existed along the route, where tragedies such as drownings, fires, and violent confrontations may have anchored restless spirits to the land. The psychological impact on travelers is equally notable. Even those who do not witness a shadow or an orb often report a creeping sense of dread, a heavy feeling pressing down as they drive. Some say they experience an almost hypnotic awareness of the road, unable to turn their heads or look away, as if compelled to watch the asphalt ahead. Heart rates increase, palms sweat, and the normal hum of a car engine becomes deafening in contrast to the surrounding silence. Despite the dangers, US Highway 27 in Sebring continues to attract thrill seekers, paranormal enthusiasts, and curiosity-driven travelers. Many come armed with cameras, recording devices, and flashlights, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. The haunting of US 27 is not limited to the night. During the day, the road seems more ordinary, yet locals warn that the energy is always present. Travelers who drive the road at dusk or dawn report a lingering tension, a subtle unease that cannot be explained by shadows or traffic. The stories and sightings persist regardless of season, weather, or time of day, suggesting that the phenomenon is deeply rooted in the history and geography of the area. US Highway 27 in Sebring stands as a testament to the power of folklore and the persistence of the unknown. Phantom vehicles, ghostly figures, sudden fogs, and inexplicable disappearances make this stretch of highway more than a road. It is a corridor of the mysterious. Those who venture onto it are not merely traveling from one place to another. They are stepping into a space where the past and present collide, where the living brush against the restless spirits of those who never returned. For anyone daring enough to drive it, US 27 is a journey that lingers in memory long after the headlights fade. It is a road where caution is paramount, where the inexplicable can strike at any moment, and where the boundary between reality and the supernatural feels thinner than ever. Travelers leave with stories of shadow cars, vanished pedestrians, and strange mists, each tale adding another layer to the enduring legend of Sebring's haunted highway. State Road 46 in Sanford, Florida, is a stretch of highway that has long captured the imagination of locals and travelers alike. Unlike bustling urban roads, SR 46 winds through dense forests and isolated fields, creating an atmosphere of solitude that many say heightens the sense of unease. Over the years, the road has earned a sinister reputation, whispered about in local lore and shared in hushed tones by those who claim to have experienced its mysteries firsthand. The stories associated with Senior 46 range from fleeting shadows to complete disappearances, making it one of the most talked about haunted roads in the state. One of the most frequently reported phenomena along Senior 46 involves phantom car lights. Drivers traveling late at night have recounted seeing headlights in the distance, seemingly belonging to a car driving in the opposite direction. At first, the lights appear normal, but as the vehicle approaches, it either disappears entirely or vanishes when the observer gets close enough to see the source. Some witnesses report that the lights behave unnaturally, moving erratically, or pausing in the middle of the road before continuing as if aware of the observer's presence. These unexplained headlights have led many to avoid the road after dark, fearing a collision with a vehicle that may not exist or worse, with something beyond human comprehension. Other reports involve shadowy figures seen darting through the tree line. Drivers have described glimpsing humanoid shapes running alongside their cars, keeping pace as if taunting or guiding them. Some claim these figures are fleeting, vanishing into the darkness without a trace, while others insist the shadows linger just long enough to be clearly visible before disappearing. A few accounts mention that the figures appear wet or glistening in the moonlight, though there is no evidence of rain or dew, leaving observers to wonder if they are witnessing spirits, lost travelers, or something entirely otherworldly. Disappearances are another chilling aspect of Senior 46's lore. Locals have shared stories of motorists who set out on the road at night and never returned. Sometimes, abandoned cars are found with doors left ajar or keys still in the ignition, yet no trace of the occupants remains. Witnesses often report that these vanishings occur in the most isolated stretches of the road, where cell phone signals are weak and no one is nearby to witness events firsthand. The combination of isolation, dense woods, and the seemingly sentient behavior of lights and shadows creates an environment where ordinary explanations often fail, and fear takes root in the imagination. Fog and sudden weather changes are also common along SR 46. Travelers recount driving through a clear night, only to suddenly encounter thick banks of mist that reduce visibility to mere feet. Within this fog, lights seem distorted, figures appear closer or farther than they actually are, and the road itself can feel as if it stretches on infinitely. Some drivers claim to have experienced disorientation or blackouts within these fog patches, emerging miles from where they expected to be. The phenomenon contributes to the road's reputation as a place where reality is mutable, and where ordinary rules of time and space may not apply. Paranormal investigators have long been drawn to SR 46, attempting to document the phenomena with cameras, EMF detectors, and other equipment. Many report capturing unexplained orbs, light streaks, or moving shadows on film, often in areas where witnesses claim to have seen figures or vanishing headlights. Some investigators speculate that the dense forests lining the highway may act as a conduit for residual energy from past tragedies, accidents, or other unresolved events, giving rise to repeated ghostly encounters. Local folklore supports this idea, suggesting that travelers who vanished decades ago remain tethered to the road, unable to move on and replaying their final moments. Beyond the visual and auditory phenomena, some visitors report physical sensations. Drivers have described sudden drops in temperature, a sense of being watched, or an unshakable feeling of dread while traveling the highway. A few accounts even mention a light touch on the arm or shoulder as they drive, as if unseen hands are reaching out. These experiences, while subjective, are consistent enough across multiple reports to suggest that something unusual persists along the isolated stretches of SR 46. Local theories about the road's haunted reputation vary. Some attribute it to its long history as a rural thoroughfare, where accidents and disappearances have occurred over decades. Others claim that the dense woods surrounding the road conceal entities or spirits that have existed for centuries, lingering in the shadows and feeding on the fear of travelers. Folklore also mentions old settlements and homesteads along the route, where tragedies such as drownings, violent deaths, or fires may have left residual energy, now manifesting as the ghostly phenomena witnessed today. Despite the chilling tales, Senior 46 continues to draw thrill-seekers, ghost hunters, and adventurous travelers. Those brave enough to drive the road at night often do so with cameras, recording devices, or companions, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. Many leave with nothing more than a heightened sense of unease, while others report encounters that defy explanation: shadow figures, vanishing headlights, or strange, lingering sounds that follow them long after leaving the road. SR 46 in Sanford is more than just a rural highway. It is a corridor where the living meet the unknown. Shadowy figures, phantom car lights, sudden fog, and the occasional vanishing driver have made it a place of fear and fascination. Travelers on this stretch are warned to remain vigilant, respect the road's eerie reputation, and remember that in some parts of Florida, the line between the ordinary and the supernatural can be perilously thin. The highway leaves an impression that lasts long after the journey ends. A lingering reminder that SR 46 is a road where the unexplained thrives, and where every turn could bring a glimpse of the otherworldly. State Road 200, stretching through Palatka, Florida, is a road shrouded in eerie legends and ghostly encounters. Locals and travelers alike speak of strange occurrences along this stretch, a highway that seems ordinary by day, but transforms into something far more sinister after dark. Those who travel SR to OO at night often report an unsettling sensation, a feeling of being watched from the shadows that line the dense foliage on either side of the road. Over the decades, the highway has gained notoriety, not for its traffic or scenery, but for the unexplained events that have terrified those who dare traverse it under the cover of night. One of the most persistent stories involves spectral figures appearing seemingly out of nowhere. Drivers frequently report seeing people, often dressed in outdated clothing, crossing the road in the dead of night. At first, they appear normal, as if simply pedestrians lost along the highway. But as cars slow or stop to avoid them, the figures vanish without a trace. Witnesses describe moments of hesitation where they feel compelled to stop, only to find that the road is empty, with no footprints, shadows, or signs of life. This recurring phenomenon has left many drivers shaken, unsure if they narrowly avoided a collision with the living or something far more sinister. Several disappearances have been linked to Senior 200, further fueling the road's haunted reputation. Over the years, motorists have vanished while traveling alone at night. Some were last seen slowing for a figure on the road, while others reported strange lights flickering in the distance before losing contact with friends or family. Investigators who have scoured the area often find abandoned vehicles along the roadside, doors unlocked and belongings left inside, yet no trace of the drivers themselves. These mysterious vanishings have given rise to countless theories, from paranormal activity to hidden dangers within the dense forest that flanks the road. The eerie atmosphere of Senior 200 is amplified by sudden drops in temperature and unnatural fog. Drivers have recounted moments when the air grows inexplicably cold, even during the warm Florida nights, leaving them shivering as if an unseen presence brushes past. Thick banks of fog can descend rapidly, obscuring visibility and making familiar stretches of road feel disorienting and alien. Within this mist, headlights can appear distorted, and shadows seem to move independently of their sources. Some drivers report a sensation of time stretching or contracting, as if minutes pass in seconds, or hours vanish into a blank void. Shadowy figures are not the only paranormal presence reported. Many travelers describe hearing whispers, cries, or footsteps in the distance, echoing along the road without any visible source. At times, these sounds are faint, barely audible over the hum of the engine, but at other times they grow startlingly loud, as if someone or something is right beside the vehicle. Others have claimed to see glowing eyes in the tree line, blinking at them before disappearing, leaving drivers with a lingering sense of dread and the chilling feeling that they were being observed for more than a passing moment. Paranormal investigators and thrill seekers are drawn to SR-200 in the hopes of documenting these phenomena. Cameras often capture orbs of light, strange shadows, and flickers that cannot be attributed to passing cars or natural sources. Some investigators suggest that the highway may serve as a thin veil between the living and the spiritual realm, where residual energy from past tragedies manifests in the forms of apparitions and unexplained occurrences. Folklore hints that lost travelers and victims of accidents remain tied to the road, replaying their final moments and appearing to the living as warnings or, perhaps, as restless spirits trapped in perpetual limbo. Physical sensations are another hallmark of the hauntings along SR-200. Drivers and passengers have described sudden, unexplained chills, a heavy pressure on the chest, or the feeling of being touched by invisible hands. These experiences often accompany the visual and auditory phenomena, reinforcing the impression that something otherworldly is present. The sensations are not fleeting. Some report that the feeling persists long after leaving the road, leaving a lasting imprint on their memory and a lingering unease about returning to that stretch of highway. Local lore adds layers to the highway's reputation. Residents speak of SR-200 as a place where the veil between worlds is thin, a corridor where restless spirits wander, and the normal rules of the living do not fully apply. Stories of vanished travelers, ghostly pedestrians, and unexplained lights are told around campfires and shared at local gatherings, cementing the road's place in regional mythology. Even those who have never traveled the highway are aware of its reputation, a cautionary tale warning them of the unknown waiting along the asphalt after dark. Despite the chilling tales, Senior 200 continues to attract adventurers, ghost hunters, and thrill seekers. Cameras, recording devices, and companions are often brought along, though many who venture onto the road report nothing but the oppressive atmosphere and an uneasy feeling that something is watching. Others claim encounters that defy explanation. Shadowy figures crossing the road, vanishing headlights, and whispers that seem to rise from nowhere. These experiences leave travelers questioning reality and the possibility that Senior 200 is more than just a highway, but a crossroads of the living and the spectral. State Road 200 in Palatka, Florida, is not merely a route from one town to another. It is a stretch of asphalt infused with the unknown, where spectral figures appear and vanish, where unexplained lights dance along the roadside, and where travelers have disappeared without a trace. The combination of dense woods, historical incidents, and lingering energy creates a haunting atmosphere that lingers in the memory long after the drive has ended. Those who brave the highway after dark do so at their own risk. For along SR-200, the line between the natural and the supernatural is thin, and the next shadow may be waiting to step out from the darkness. As Highway 19 in Citrus County, Florida, stretches through quiet neighborhoods, dense forests, and stretches of abandoned land. By day, it appears unremarkable, a typical highway connecting towns and small communities. But as night falls, the road transforms into a corridor of mystery and fear, drawing stories from locals, travelers, and paranormal enthusiasts alike. Over the decades, US-19 has gained a reputation as one of Florida's eeriest highways, a place where the veil between the living and the dead feels inexplicably thin. Many of the haunting stories center around the areas near old cemeteries that dot the route. Shadowy figures have been reported wandering along the roadside, often appearing near headstones and grave markers. Witnesses describe these apparitions as indistinct and fleeting, sometimes shaped like people, other times like formless silhouettes. Drivers often catch a glimpse of movement from the corner of their eyes, only for it to vanish when they attempt to look directly. These unexplained sightings have instilled fear in many who travel the highway at night, leaving them questioning whether the figures are spirits of the past or something more sinister. Abandoned buildings along US 19 add to the eerie ambience. Once functioning businesses, homes, or farms, these structures now stand in decay, their windows dark and doors creaking in the wind. Locals tell tales of ghostly shapes peering from broken windows, and sometimes lights flickering inside the empty buildings. Those brave enough to stop often report feeling an oppressive presence, a weight in the air that presses down upon them, accompanied by sudden chills and the sensation of being watched. Some visitors swear they have heard disembodied footsteps echoing inside when the buildings are otherwise silent. Vehicles traveling the road have also been at the center of numerous strange occurrences. Drivers recount experiences where their headlights illuminate shadowy figures or glowing orbs, only to find the road empty when they slow down. Some have claimed to witness phantom vehicles appearing in their path, mimicking their speed and movements before disappearing into thin air. Mysteriously, tire tracks often appear in the soft shoulders of the highway, leading off into fields or woods, with no vehicle ever found to match them. These unexplained tracks, combined with sudden engine stalls, phantom honking, and the sensation of unseen forces brushing against cars, have made traveling US 19 at night a harrowing experience. One of the most recurring tales involves travelers who report seeing figures standing or walking along the center line of the highway. At first, these figures appear human, often in outdated clothing, as though from another era. Drivers slow, attempting to avoid contact, but when they approach, the figures vanish entirely. Some motorists have experienced a chilling sense that the apparitions were aware of their presence, staring silently before fading away. The psychological impact is profound. Many describe feelings of dread and unease that linger long after leaving the road. Ghost hunters and paranormal investigators have flocked to US 19 in search of evidence. Cameras have captured unexplained shadows and lights that cannot be attributed to passing vehicles or street lamps. Electronic voice phenomena, or EVP, recordings have picked up whispers, cries, and faint murmurs that seem to emerge from the surrounding forests and abandoned structures. Investigators note a recurring pattern. The phenomena are often concentrated near older sections of the highway, particularly where cemeteries and abandoned buildings converge. This has led some to speculate that the road serves as a conduit for residual energy, a place where tragic events from the past echo into the present. Local folklore adds to the chilling reputation of US 19. Residents speak of the road in hushed tones, warning travelers to avoid certain stretches after dark. Tales of missing motorists, shadowy figures, and spectral vehicles have been passed down for generations. While some dismiss these stories as exaggerations or urban legends, the consistency and number of eyewitness accounts give the road an undeniable reputation as haunted. For those who live nearby, the highway is more than just asphalt. It is a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that some places hold on to the memories of the past in ways that defy explanation. Physical sensations accompany many encounters. Travelers report sudden temperature drops, the feeling of invisible hands brushing against them, and a sense of being followed by unseen eyes. These experiences are often accompanied by auditory phenomena, whispers carried by the wind, footsteps behind the car, or even the faint sound of voices calling their names. The combination of visual, auditory, and tactile disturbances makes US 19 one of the most unnerving roads in Florida, leaving an indelible impression on those who encounter its mysteries. Even during daylight, the atmosphere can feel heavy and unsettling. The abandoned buildings and overgrown lots seem to watch, and shadows stretch in unusual ways under the sun. Yet it is at night when the true horror manifests. The road transforms into a liminal space, where time and reality appear distorted. Many who travel the highway alone report a sense of disorientation, where familiar landmarks seem to shift, and the distance between exits feels unnaturally long. In this altered perception, Even minor sightings of shadows or lights become amplified, creating an overwhelming sense of vulnerability. As Highway 19 in Citrus County is more than a simple route from one town to another. It is a place where the ordinary blends with the supernatural, where shadowy figures cross in the dead of night, and where abandoned buildings echo with the whispers of the past. The unexplained tire tracks, phantom vehicles, and vanishings add to its mystique, making the highway a destination for thrill seekers and a warning for the faint of heart. Those who venture onto this stretch of asphalt do so with an unspoken understanding. The road may seem normal in daylight, but once darkness falls, the spirits of the past awaken and the line between reality and the paranormal blurs. Travelers who find themselves on US 19 after dark are entering more than a roadway. They are stepping into a corridor of echoes, shadows, and lingering presences. The road's eerie reputation is well learned, with eyewitness reports and local lore reinforcing the notion that some travelers never truly leave. The highway serves as a reminder that even in modern Florida, old ghosts linger, and forgotten roads can hide more than meets the eye. On US 19, every shadow, every flicker of light, and every cold gust of wind is a possible encounter with the unknown, making it one of Citrus County's most haunting and unforgettable destinations. State Road 52 in Zephyr Hills, Florida, is a seemingly ordinary highway by day, connecting small towns, farmlands, and residential areas. Yet, as darkness descends, the road transforms into a realm of eerie legends and unsettling experiences. Locals warn that SR 52 is not a place to drive alone after nightfall, as countless tales speak of ghostly motorcyclists, inexplicable sounds, and chilling encounters that defy explanation. Over the years, the road has developed a reputation as one of Florida's most haunted highways, a stretch where the living and the dead seem to coexist in a thin veil of darkness. Travelers along Senior 52 often report seeing motorcycles suddenly appear in their rearview mirrors, moving at impossible speeds. At first, these apparitions appear solid, reflecting the faint glow of streetlights. Yet when drivers attempt to match speed or overtake them, the motorcycles vanish without a trace. Witnesses describe a sudden disappearance, sometimes leaving no skid marks, no evidence on the asphalt, and no trace in the surrounding area. These encounters are particularly frightening because they often occur on otherwise quiet stretches, where the hum of an engine is the only sound, and the emptiness of the road amplifies the experience. Local legend holds that these ghostly riders are spirits of motorcyclists who perished in tragic accidents along the highway decades ago. Some stories tell of riders who lost control on the curves of Senior 52, while others speak of fatal collisions at intersections that are now sites of frequent paranormal activity. Witnesses claim that the motorcycles sometimes appear in the exact spots where accidents were historically documented. Some locals even mark these areas as haunted, warning travelers to slow down, not only for safety, but for their sanity, as many believe the spirits are drawn to those who venture recklessly along the highway. Beyond the spectral motorcyclists, SR 52 has an array of other reported phenomena. Drivers have reported hearing phantom engine roars, echoing footsteps, or the faint clinking of chains on the road when no motorcycles are present. Some claim to feel sudden gusts of cold air that brush past their vehicles, accompanied by the sensation of being followed. The feeling of unease is compounded by visual anomalies, headlights flickering unexpectedly, shadows darting across the road, and glowing orbs appearing in the tree line before disappearing into the night. These experiences often leave travelers shaken, questioning whether the road itself holds some malevolent force. The ghostly activity is not limited to the highway itself. Abandoned homes, old barns, and long-forgotten gas stations along SR 52 have become focal points for paranormal sightings. Locals report seeing figures in leather jackets or vintage riding gear standing near these structures, vanishing when approached. Others recount hearing muffled voices calling out names, sometimes even mimicking conversations from decades past. The mixture of physical locations tied to tragic accidents and the spectral riders creates an environment where history and hauntings intermingle, leaving a lingering sense of unease over the entire stretch. Motorcycle enthusiasts and paranormal investigators alike have sought evidence along Senior 52. Cameras often capture shadowy figures moving alongside vehicles. But when investigators review the footage, the riders are indistinct, sometimes transparent, as if they exist partially in another plane. Electronic voice phenomena, or EVP recordings, frequently yield whispers, cries, and even the sounds of engines revving, despite no vehicles being present. Some investigators claim that the ghostly energy is strongest near the curves and intersections historically associated with fatal accidents, suggesting that the spirits remain tethered to the locations of their untimely deaths. Several travelers have shared chilling personal experiences. One motorist recounted driving late at night when a motorcycle appeared beside their car, riding so close that they could see the reflection of the rider's helmet visor. When they looked again moments later, the road was empty, and no tire marks remained. Another driver reported hearing the roar of a motorcycle before noticing headlights racing toward them, only to vanish seconds later, leaving them disoriented and terrified. These stories are not isolated. Over decades, numerous accounts have reinforced the perception that SR-52 is far more than a standard highway. Even those who travel during the day report a lingering sense of the uncanny. The abandoned structures, dense tree lines, and long stretches of quiet asphalt seem to carry the weight of past tragedies. Shadows appear to move independently of natural light, and the air often feels heavy, as though charged with residual energy. While some dismiss these occurrences as urban legends, the consistency and repetition of eyewitness accounts suggest that Senior 52 has a distinct and persistent paranormal presence. The most unsettling aspect of these hauntings is the unpredictability. Some encounters happen within seconds, a fleeting glimpse in the rearview mirror. Others last for minutes, with riders appearing, disappearing, and reappearing in ways that defy logic. Travelers have reported feeling a sense of pressure in their vehicles, as though unseen eyes are watching, and some even claim their vehicles behaved erratically, sudden acceleration, braking, or steering resistance when ghostly riders are near. These experiences are deeply disorienting, leaving many to question their own perception. State Road 52 in Zephyr Hills stands as a testament to the lingering presence of the past, a place where tragic events manifest as ghostly motorcyclists, unexplained sounds, and sudden chills. The combination of highway accidents, abandoned buildings, and dense woods creates an environment where the paranormal thrives. Locals continue to pass down warnings, emphasizing caution and respect for the road's history. For those who venture along SR-52 at night, the experience is more than just a drive. It is a journey through layers of time, memory, and spirit, where every shadow, every roar of an invisible engine, and every flicker of movement could be a reminder that some souls never truly leave. On SR-52, travelers are reminded that the road holds secrets beyond the visible, and that the spirits of the past, particularly those of motorcyclists lost too soon, continue to ride alongside the living, their presence an enduring whisper from another time, forever haunting the highway of Zephyr. As Highway 27 in Lake Wales, Florida, is a seemingly ordinary highway during the day, lined with dense groves and open stretches of asphalt. But as night falls, the road takes on an unsettling reputation among locals and travelers alike. Tales of mysterious vanishings, shadowy figures, and inexplicable events have circulated for decades, earning it a notorious place among Florida's haunted roads. Those who dare drive here after dark often report experiences that leave them shaken, questioning both reality and the thin line between the living and the dead. Travelers along US 27 frequently describe encounters with shadowy figures appearing suddenly along the roadside or leaning into car windows. One common story tells of a driver passing through a particularly desolate stretch when a dark figure appeared beside the passenger window, whispering words that were impossible to understand. The figure would vanish as quickly as it appeared, leaving the driver in a cold panic. In other cases, motorists report feeling sudden pressure in their cars, as if invisible hands are pressing against the doors or steering wheel. making it nearly impossible to maintain control of the vehicle. Over the years, there have been numerous accounts of entire cars disappearing without a trace. Witnesses describe seeing vehicles pulled over at the roadside, occupants talking or appearing distressed, only for the cars to vanish moments later. No tire tracks, no footprints, no indication of where the cars or their drivers went, just a sudden emptiness in the night. These incidents have contributed to a chilling legend that something malevolent inhabits the highway, claiming those who linger too long after dark. Beyond the vanishings, US 27 is said to host other strange phenomena. Drivers report hearing unintelligible whispers echoing from the groves and empty stretches of road, accompanied by sudden gusts of wind that seem to come from nowhere. Some have claimed to see glowing eyes in the tree line, moving in tandem with their vehicles, vanishing as soon as headlights illuminate the area. Others recount the sensation of being followed by an unseen presence, a feeling of constant observation that intensifies with each mile. Shadowy figures are the most commonly reported phenomenon. Witnesses often see them standing motionless at the edge of the road, watching silently as cars approach. In some cases, these figures seem to move alongside the vehicle, pacing it silently for blocks before disappearing entirely. Their forms are usually human-like but distorted, as if the shadows are layered with some unnatural energy. They are most often seen during late-night hours, when the quiet of the road amplifies the sense of isolation and vulnerability. Locals speak of the history behind US 27 as a possible explanation for the hauntings. Lake Wales and its surrounding areas have long been home to accidents and disappearances along this stretch. Some speculate that the restless spirits of those who met untimely deaths linger here, replaying the moments before their demise, or trying to warn the living of the dangers hidden in the darkness. Others believe darker entities, drawn to fear and vulnerability, occupy the road, preying upon unsuspecting travelers who venture alone. Investigators and thrill-seekers alike have tried to capture evidence of the hauntings. Cameras sometimes record fleeting shadows at the edge of the tree line, only to vanish when the footage is reviewed. Electronic voice phenomena (EVP) recordings occasionally catch whispered warnings, low moans, or distorted voices that seem to emanate from nowhere. Many investigators report a heavy, almost suffocating atmosphere along certain stretches, a sense that the road itself is alive with energy beyond human comprehension. Drivers who have experienced the hauntings firsthand often share similar patterns of events. A common narrative involves approaching a figure at the side of the road, sometimes a man, woman, or child, only for it to lean or reach toward the car window, whispering warnings that cannot be deciphered. Moments later, either the figure disappears, or the vehicle itself seems to be pulled forward or backward by an unseen force. In some cases, witnesses recall seeing their surroundings change suddenly, roads bending or stretching unnaturally, leaving them disoriented and fearful. Another unnerving aspect is the sensation of missing time. Travelers report that what feels like a few minutes of strange activity sometimes amounts to hours when they check the clock, with no memory of how they traveled the distance. These experiences feed the legend of US 27 as a place where time and space seem to warp, and the ordinary rules of reality no longer apply. Even those who avoid the late-night hours feel the weight of the road's reputation. Locals warn newcomers to stay vigilant, avoid stopping, and keep their doors locked. Many of the older residents remember stories passed down about sudden disappearances, ghostly warnings, and shadowy figures, insisting that the highway holds secrets the living cannot fully understand. US Highway 27 in Lake Wales is more than just a route between towns. It is a corridor of fear, mystery, and lingering spirits. The combination of vanishings, shadowy figures, unexplained phenomena, and historical tragedies creates a palpable sense of unease that has endured for decades. Those who drive the highway at night often leave with stories of whispering shadows, fleeting figures, and the unsettling feeling that something unseen has followed them, watching until they are safely back in the light of day. Travelers on US 27 are reminded that the road holds more than asphalt and trees. It carries the weight of past tragedies, the presence of spirits who cannot rest, and the lingering question of what truly exists beyond the veil of the living. Those who dare venture here at night are entering a place where disappearances are real. Shadows speak in whispers, and the boundary between the natural and the supernatural is thin. A place where the stories of the past continue to haunt the highway for anyone who dares to drive its dark stretches. State Road 29 in LaBelle, Florida, winds through dense swamplands, quiet farmland, and stretches of road that seem to vanish into the horizon. By day, it appears as any ordinary highway, lined with moss-draped trees and occasional farmhouses. But as the sun sets and shadows stretch across the asphalt, SR 29 transforms into a place steeped in chilling stories and unexplained phenomena. Locals whisper about strange occurrences that have haunted travelers for decades, from ghostly figures wandering the shoulders of the road to the inexplicable disappearance of vehicles and people. Those who drive SR 29 at night often report sudden drops in temperature, even in the humid Florida air. Windows fog over instantly, breath becomes visible, and icy gusts sweep through the car as if an unseen hand had opened the doors. Some travelers describe the sensation of being watched, the weight of unseen eyes, tracking their every movement along the lonely stretches of highway, even when no other vehicles or structures are nearby. The road can feel unnervingly alive. The most commonly reported phenomena along SR 29 are ghostly wails and whispering voices. Drivers often hear cries that seem to come from the swampy woods bordering the road. Sometimes these are soft sobs, carried faintly on the wind, while other times the cries are piercing, urgent, and filled with unmistakable anguish. People who have stopped to investigate these sounds report an immediate feeling of dread, a sensation as though they are being pulled into the darkness itself. Shadowy figures are a constant presence on SR 29. Witnesses describe seeing human-like silhouettes standing by the roadside or moving slowly among the trees. These shadows often vanish as headlights illuminate them, leaving nothing but empty space and a lingering chill. Some travelers have reported seeing figures on the road itself, appearing in the middle of the lane, only to disappear when the vehicle approaches. Others have felt the sensation of a presence inside the car, a fleeting touch on their shoulder or a cold breath on the back of their neck, with no one visible around them. One enduring legend involves a family that vanished near a particularly isolated stretch of the highway. According to local lore, they were traveling late at night when witnesses last saw their car stopped along the roadside. When authorities arrived, the vehicle was gone, leaving no trace of the family or the car. Over the years, multiple travelers claim to have seen the same car parked at that spot, lights flickering and doors creaking as if someone or something remains trapped there, replaying the final moments of their journey. Many travelers describe feeling a persistent sense of being followed along the road. It begins subtly, the faint sound of footsteps alongside the car, or the reflection of a shadow in the rearview mirror that vanishes the moment it is noticed. Others recount seeing headlights behind them that mimic their every move, accelerating when they accelerate, slowing when they slow, only to vanish entirely at a sudden curve or bend in the road. These experiences create an intense feeling of vulnerability, as if the road itself is a living entity, aware of those who traverse it after dark. Local residents warn newcomers to remain alert and avoid stopping unless absolutely necessary. Even the most routine drive can turn unsettling on SR 29, as ordinary landmarks transform into eerie backdrops for strange events. Trees that look like shadows in the moonlight, abandoned farmhouses that seem to watch, and the sounds of unseen animals all contribute to the heightened sense of unease. Travelers are often advised to keep moving, windows up, doors locked, and minds alert for anything unusual. Investigators of the paranormal have visited SR 29 over the years, hoping to document the strange phenomena reported by drivers. Cameras occasionally capture fleeting silhouettes, blurred figures, or orbs of light moving along the roadside. Electronic voice recordings sometimes pick up faint whispers or cries, echoing faintly through speakers even when no one else is present. Many investigators report an almost tangible heaviness in the air, a sensation of being pressed down or followed, reinforcing the idea that SR-29 is a hotspot for restless spirits. The combination of natural isolation, swampy terrain, and historical tragedies adds to the legend of SR-29. Stories of drownings, accidents, and disappearances, the history of the area. And locals believe that these events have left lingering spirits behind. Some claim that the highway is a threshold between the living world and the restless dead, a place where souls who met untimely ends are trapped replaying their final moments and interacting with the living in subtle, often terrifying ways. One frequent report from travelers involves ghostly lights appearing in the swamp. These lights sometimes follow vehicles, hover over the water, or dart across the road before vanishing. In other cases, headlights appear in the distance, far too small or far too large for the space, only to disappear when approached, leaving the road empty once again. Senior 29's combination of vanishing travelers, shadowy figures, ghostly sounds, and unexplained lights has made it infamous among Florida's haunted roads. Those brave enough to traverse it at night report an overwhelming sense of isolation and the persistent feeling that something unseen is walking with them. The legends warn that this is not just a stretch of asphalt, but a corridor filled with energies that cannot be fully understood or escaped. Drivers who venture down State Road 29 in LaBelle are entering a landscape where reality and the supernatural intertwine. Ghostly figures, chilling wails, sudden cold spots, and the sensation of being followed all serve as reminders that the highway is far from ordinary. The swamplands, abandoned stretches, and darkened trees make it easy to believe the legends that restless spirits still roam these roads, claiming the lonely travelers who dared to drive after nightfall. Those who pass through must do so cautiously, aware that SR-29 is a place where the living and the dead meet in the shadows, and where the mysteries of the past continue to haunt the highway for anyone who dares to traverse its desolate stretches. Highway 301 in Palmetto, Florida, is a long, seemingly ordinary route that stretches across quiet farmland, isolated neighborhoods, and dense wooded areas. By day, it is just another highway, lined with tall pines and the occasional roadside diner. But after sunset, the road takes on a different, far more sinister character. Locals whisper of ghostly encounters, unexplained phenomena, and mysterious disappearances that have haunted the highway for decades, leaving an aura of unease for anyone who drives it after dark. Travelers along Highway 301 often report strange experiences that defy explanation. One of the most common occurrences is the appearance of flickering headlights in the distance. These lights sometimes behave oddly, stopping abruptly, moving too fast, or seeming to follow a driver's vehicle no matter how far the car turns or accelerates. In some instances, the lights vanish completely when approached, leaving no trace of another vehicle on the road. Witnesses describe the feeling as unsettling, as though reality itself is bending around them. Phantom traffic is another frequent phenomenon. Drivers recount entire convoys of vehicles that appear out of nowhere, their engines running silently, their taillights glowing dimly in the darkness. When a vehicle attempts to overtake or interact with them, the phantom cars vanish as if swallowed by the night. Some travelers claim to have experienced multiple cars appearing and disappearing within moments, creating a disorienting, almost dreamlike sequence that lingers long after they have passed that stretch of highway. Highway 301 is also notorious for eerie figures that appear suddenly in the road. Shadowy silhouettes of men, women, and children have been seen standing along the roadside or walking across the lanes. These figures are often described as dressed in outdated clothing, as if they have stepped directly from the past into the present. When drivers slow down or stop to get a better look, the figures vanish instantly, leaving no footprints, no tracks, nothing to suggest they were ever there. Witnesses frequently report a sense of being watched, or the sensation that the figures are studying them with intent. Disappearances on Highway 301 have contributed heavily to its haunted reputation. Over the years, several travelers have reported vanishing under mysterious circumstances. Vehicles have been found abandoned with doors unlocked, keys in the ignition, and personal belongings left behind, but the occupants are never recovered. These incidents have led locals to believe that the highway is a liminal space where the boundary between the living and the dead is thin, allowing spirits or otherworldly forces to claim unsuspecting travelers. The highway is particularly treacherous near stretches bordered by thick woods and dense vegetation. Drivers recount sudden cold spots that descend upon the car without warning, often accompanied by inexplicable shadows moving in the periphery. Some describe hearing whispering voices, faint and unintelligible, coming from the tree line or even inside their vehicles. Others report hearing footsteps running alongside their cars, always keeping pace, even when the road ahead is empty and no one is visible. One enduring legend involves a lone hitchhiker seen along a particularly isolated stretch of the highway. According to eyewitnesses, the figure is often a young woman dressed in clothing from the early 20th century. Drivers who pick her up report a chilling silence, a sudden feeling of intense cold, and the unsettling sensation of being watched. When approached or when the car nears a certain point, she vanishes without a trace, leaving the driver shaken and unsure whether what they saw was real. Highway 301 is also associated with flickering streetlights that seem to respond to the presence of vehicles. Some travelers have noted entire intersections where lights turn on and off without reason, or blink in unnatural patterns, casting eerie shadows that seem to move independently of their surroundings. Others report sudden bursts of fog or mist that obscure the road ahead, only to lift moments later, revealing an empty, silent highway once more. Paranormal investigators have documented a range of phenomena along Highway 301. Cameras have captured fleeting shadows, orbs of light, and objects appearing to move without cause. Electronic voice recordings have picked up whispers, cries, and unexplained noises, even when the area was completely empty. Many investigators describe a heavy, oppressive atmosphere that presses down on the senses, creating an almost suffocating sense of unease that persists long after leaving the highway. The combination of isolated stretches, historical disappearances, and eerie manifestations has cemented Highway 301's reputation as one of Florida's most haunted roads. Local folklore emphasizes caution, especially for night travelers, warning them not to stop for unknown figures or vehicles, to keep windows up, doors locked, and their wits about them. The stories suggest that Highway 301 is not merely haunted, it is a corridor where restless spirits roam. Memories of past tragedies replay, and the living are drawn into encounters they may never forget. For those brave enough to traverse U.S. Highway 301 in Palmetto at night, the experience is unnerving and unforgettable. Ghostly figures, phantom traffic, flickering headlights, and mysterious disappearances create an environment where the ordinary rules of the road seem suspended. Every turn, every shadow, and every sound serves as a reminder that this stretch of highway is more than just asphalt and trees. It is a realm where the living and the dead intersect, and where the past continues to haunt the present, lingering silently in the darkness for anyone daring enough to pass through. State Road 60, running through the Lake Wales Ridge in central Florida, is often described as a scenic and tranquil route during the day. Stretching across rolling hills, dense scrublands, and stretches of orange groves, the road offers beautiful views that attract tourists and local travelers alike. But once night falls, this seemingly serene highway takes on an unsettling and otherworldly character. Locals and travelers alike have shared chilling stories of strange phenomena, ghostly apparitions, and mysterious disappearances, lending State Road 60 a dark reputation that few dare to ignore. Drivers traveling after dark often report seeing shadows darting across the lanes. These figures appear suddenly and move with impossible speed, vanishing before headlights fully illuminate them. Some travelers describe humanoid shapes, while others claim to have seen figures that shift and distort, almost as if they are phantoms slipping between dimensions. The experience is unnerving, often leaving drivers with a profound sense of being watched, followed, or even pursued, though no other vehicles or people are in sight. One of the most common phenomena reported on State Road 60 is the sudden stalling of vehicles, Cars and trucks frequently lose power without warning, sometimes at the most isolated stretches of the highway. Engines sputter, lights flicker, and electronic devices fail all at once. Many who have experienced this report feeling a cold, oppressive presence in their cars, accompanied by an overwhelming sense of dread. In some cases, vehicles restart on their own, often with no mechanical explanation, leaving drivers shaken and confused. Time distortion is another eerie aspect of State Road 60's haunted reputation. Travelers have recounted journeys where miles seem to pass in mere minutes, yet the scenery remains unchanged. Some report feeling disoriented, suddenly realizing they are far from their intended destination with no memory of the intervening miles. Others have said they experience a heavy, dreamlike sensation, as if the normal rules of time are suspended. These distortions contribute to the road's reputation as a place where the living and the supernatural intersect, leaving travelers questioning what is real and what is an illusion. Many stories involve mysterious lights hovering along the highway at night. These orbs often appear in the distance, moving erratically, sometimes converging on the road and then disappearing entirely. Witnesses describe them as glowing faintly in colors that do not belong to ordinary headlights or taillights, creating an unsettling, surreal atmosphere. Drivers who have encountered these lights often report an intense feeling of being drawn toward them, only to snap back to reality once they are gone. Shadowy figures are also commonly seen, standing at the edges of the road or peering from the dense foliage lining the highway. These entities are often described as tall and indistinct, with features obscured by darkness. Some travelers have reported hearing whispers, calls, or even screams emanating from these areas, though no one else is visible. Others claim to have seen figures darting between the trees and bushes, sometimes running alongside the car before vanishing into thin air. The suddenness of these appearances leaves many drivers terrified and hesitant to continue their journey. Paranormal investigators have noted the Lake Wales Ridge portion of State Road 60 as a hotspot for strange energy readings. EMF detectors and other equipment often register spikes when no electrical sources are present. Motion sensors, cameras, and audio recorders frequently capture unexplained phenomena, from fleeting shadows to unidentifiable noises that seem to echo in the still night air. Investigators describe a heavy, almost tangible atmosphere along the highway, a weight on the senses that seems to intensify with darkness and isolation. Local legends suggest that the highway is a corridor where restless spirits or residual energies remain trapped. Some believe that the area's history, including settlements, accidents, and long-forgotten tragedies, has left behind imprints of intense emotion. Others think the road itself may act as a conduit, where normal rules of space and time are suspended, allowing glimpses of past events or interactions with the otherworldly. These explanations, while speculative, offer some insight into the enduring mystery of State Road 60. Vanishing travelers are another dark chapter in the road's lore. Over the years, several drivers have reportedly disappeared without explanation along this stretch. Vehicles are sometimes found abandoned, with no signs of struggle or mechanical failure, and the occupants are never located. In some cases, witnesses claim to have seen cars slowly fade from view or merge into the shadows as if swallowed by the night itself. These disappearances have cemented the road's reputation as a place where the ordinary and the paranormal collide in dangerous and inexplicable ways. Despite these terrifying stories, State Road 60 remains a well-traveled route, connecting small towns, natural preserves, and farmlands. For those willing to take the risk, the road offers an encounter with the unknown, a place where shadows move without source, lights behave independently, and time itself may bend. Travelers are advised to drive cautiously, remain aware of their surroundings, and be prepared for the unexpected. For the Lake Wales Ridge portion of State Road 60 is not merely a highway, it's a stretch of land where reality seems fluid, and where the supernatural may brush against the edges of human perception. For those daring enough to traverse it at night, State Road 60 offers a chilling reminder that even the most scenic routes can hold secrets. Flickering lights, phantom vehicles, shadowy figures, sudden stalls, and disorienting time shifts create an environment that defies logic and leaves an indelible mark on the mind. The road whispers its stories through the wind, the darkness, and the unexplained events that unfold, reminding travelers that some paths are best traveled with caution, and some mysteries are never meant to be fully understood. As Highway 441, stretching through the rural landscapes surrounding Okeechobee, is a long, lonely road known for its flat terrain, dense foliage, and stretches of open farmland. By day, it is a quiet, unremarkable highway, but as night falls, travelers have reported that it transforms into one of the most unsettling roads in Florida. Tales of ghostly apparitions, vanishing pedestrians, and unexplainable mechanical failures have made US 441 infamous among locals and paranormal enthusiasts alike. The stories are so persistent that many drivers travel with caution, fully aware that the ordinary rules of the road might not apply once darkness descends. One of the most common phenomena reported along US 441 is the sudden appearance of spectral figures. Drivers recount seeing men and women standing along the highway, often dressed in outdated clothing that seems to belong to another era. Some of these figures appear to be completely unaware of their surroundings, wandering aimlessly, while others seem to deliberately step into the path of oncoming vehicles. Witnesses consistently report feeling sudden chills and an overwhelming sense of dread as they approach these figures. In some accounts, the pedestrians vanish into thin air, leaving drivers shaken and questioning what they had just seen. The road is also notorious for unexplained vehicle malfunctions. Cars are reported to stall without warning, often in the most isolated areas where help is hours away. Lights flicker, radios cut out, and engines die for no apparent reason. Many who experience these malfunctions describe an oppressive, almost tangible presence inside the vehicle, as if some unseen force is watching them, testing their courage, or guiding them toward something unknown. In certain cases, cars that have stalled start again on their own after a few moments, leaving the occupants bewildered and unnerved. Local legends speak of long-forgotten tragedies along US 441. The area has been the site of multiple fatal accidents, and over the decades, these incidents have intertwined with the folklore of restless spirits. Some believe that the spectral figures wandering the highway are victims who never found peace, still trapped between life and death, repeating their final, fateful steps. Others suggest that the road itself acts as a conduit for residual energy, amplifying the tragedies of the past and creating an environment where time and space become unstable. Night travelers often describe eerie sensations of being followed. Shadows seem to move independently of light sources, appearing at the edges of vision only to disappear when observed directly. Some drivers claim that phantom headlights appear behind them, matching their speed and movements, only to vanish suddenly when they attempt to look in the rearview mirror. This phenomenon has been reported for decades, with many attributing it to spirits of those lost in accidents or travelers who vanished mysteriously. On this very stretch of highway, some witnesses report strange sounds accompanying the visual apparitions. Whispered voices, footsteps crunching on gravel, and faint cries are frequently described by those who have dared to drive the highway late at night. These sounds often appear to come from multiple directions at once, as if echoing through both the surrounding woods and the vehicle itself. The auditory experiences are said to intensify the sense of isolation and fear, making even experienced drivers feel vulnerable and uneasy. US 441 is particularly known for sudden vanishings. Over the years, several travelers have reportedly disappeared without a trace along this highway. Vehicles have been found abandoned, sometimes with doors unlocked and personal belongings left behind, yet the occupants are never recovered. Some locals believe that these disappearances are connected to the spectral figures that haunt the road, suggesting that the spirits have the ability to pull travelers from the living world into their own. These stories are recounted quietly in nearby towns, often whispered to newcomers as warnings about driving the road at night. The landscape along US 441 adds to the eerie atmosphere. The highway cuts through dense woods, swampland, and open fields, creating long stretches of road where drivers can see nothing but darkness. Trees lining the highway often form twisted silhouettes in the moonlight, and fog frequently rolls in from the swamps, obscuring vision and heightening tension. The combination of natural isolation, minimal lighting, and the highway's tragic history makes every encounter feel immediate and intensely personal. Paranormal investigators have documented numerous phenomena along US 441. Motion sensors capture unexplained movement, while cameras frequently record shadowy forms darting across the highway. Audio equipment often picks up faint whispers and cries that cannot be attributed to any living source. Investigators describe a heavy energy along the highway, a presence that seems to intensify in the areas with the highest reported disappearances and sightings. Many describe a suffocating feeling, as if the road itself is alive with the memories of the lost. Despite its haunted reputation, US 441 remains a critical route for commuters and travelers passing through Okeechobee. Locals continue to drive it, often with heightened awareness after sunset. Those familiar with the road advised staying alert, keeping doors locked, and avoiding stops in isolated areas. The legends, however, persist, and many who travel the highway late at night report experiences that defy explanation. From fleeting apparitions to mechanical anomalies and ghostly sounds, for those daring enough to traverse US Highway 441 at night. The road is more than a mere path through Florida's countryside. It is a corridor of mystery and lingering spirits, a place where the past and present intersect in disturbing ways. Phantom figures, sudden malfunctions, chilling whispers, and unexplained vanishings create an environment that is both terrifying and fascinating. Travelers are reminded that while the scenery may appear calm and unremarkable, the highway carries the weight of tragedy, the presence of restless souls, and the eerie suggestion that not all who journey along it ever truly return. State Road 24, weaving through the outskirts of Gainesville, Florida, appears at first glance to be an ordinary rural highway, flanked by dense woodlands and swamplands. By day, the road seems harmless, but at night, it transforms into a corridor of dread, where countless travelers have reported strange and terrifying experiences. The legends surrounding SR-24 have persisted for decades, making it one of the most infamous haunted roads in the Gainesville area. Locals warn that this stretch of highway is not just haunted, it is a place where the living can feel the presence of those who never truly left. One of the most commonly reported phenomena along SIR-24 is the sudden appearance of glowing eyes in the trees. Drivers often speak of catching fleeting glimpses of eyes that seem too large, too bright, and too intelligent to belong to any ordinary animal. These eyes are said to follow vehicles along the winding road, blinking in the darkness and disappearing when approached directly. Many witnesses describe a sensation of being scrutinized, as if unseen entities are studying every movement. Some drivers, gripped by fear, have swerved off the road in panic, only to find themselves unharmed but shaken, their nerves frayed by the inexplicable encounter. Ghostly whispers are another hallmark of SR-24. Travelers frequently report hearing faint voices calling their names or speaking in languages that are unrecognizable, echoing from the thick forest on either side of the highway. These whispers often intensify when a driver stops or slows down, creating the unnerving impression that something or someone is drawing near. Many accounts describe hearing a mixture of urgent warnings and plaintive cries, as if spirits trapped between worlds are attempting to communicate with the living. The voices are elusive, never fully forming words or sentences, leaving listeners with an uneasy sense of dread. The sensation of being watched is perhaps the most persistent feature of SR-24's haunted reputation. Drivers often report that, even when alone in their cars, the air feels charged, oppressive, and heavy. Some describe an invisible presence that seems to hover just beyond the trees, moving in tandem with the vehicle. Objects in cars, such as sunglasses, phones, or water bottles, are occasionally found out of place after stops, leading some to believe that restless spirits are interacting with the physical world. Passengers report goosebumps, chills, and a feeling of icy fingers brushing against their skin, though no one else is present. Vanishing travelers form the darkest part of SIR-24's legend. Over the years, numerous people have been reported missing along this highway, many without a trace. Vehicles have been found abandoned on the side of the road, sometimes with the engine running and lights still on, yet the occupants are never discovered. Some locals claim that the wooded areas along the highway are a portal to another realm, and that those who vanish are taken into the shadows, trapped in a liminal space between the living and the dead. Others believe that the forest itself is sentient, selectively drawing in certain travelers, leaving only echoes of their presence behind. The road is also known for visual anomalies. Drivers recount seeing shadowy figures darting across the asphalt, vanishing before impact. Some describe fleeting glimpses of pale, humanoid shapes standing among the trees, illuminated only by the faint glow of headlights. These figures are said to appear at random, often near bends in the road or isolated clearings, and many witnesses claim they vanish when approached, leaving no trace. Some have reported seeing entire groups of these apparitions moving through the woods, disappearing silently as the vehicle passes by. Natural elements amplify the haunting atmosphere of SR-24. Thick fog often settles over the highway at night, reducing visibility to mere feet and making even familiar surroundings feel alien. The dense trees lining the road create long, impenetrable shadows, turning ordinary movements into disconcerting shapes. Combined with the eerie silence of the rural environment, these factors intensify the sense that the road is alive, watching, and filled with restless spirits. Even seasoned drivers who have traversed the route during daylight hours report heightened anxiety when the sun sets, as if the road itself becomes a different, more dangerous place after dark. Paranormal investigators have long been drawn to SR-24, setting up cameras, audio recording equipment, and motion sensors along the roadside. Many have captured unexplained phenomena: shadow figures darting between the trees, orbs of light floating above the road, and whispers that have no identifiable source. Some investigators report feeling a weight on their shoulders, a sudden drop in temperature, or a sense of being followed despite being alone. These documented encounters have only added to the road's notoriety, solidifying its place in local lore as one of Gainesville's most haunted highways. Local folklore also ties SR-24 to tragic events in the area's history. Stories of lost hunters, vanished travelers, and unexplained deaths are said to have imbued the surrounding forest with lingering spiritual energy. Some legends claim that the spirits along the highway are drawn to those who travel alone, particularly at night, seeking company, revenge, or simply to make their presence known. Others suggest that INR-24 serves as a meeting point for entities that are unable to leave the earthly realm, their cries and movements forming a pattern of haunting that continues to this day. Despite the fear surrounding the highway, many are drawn to SR-24, whether out of curiosity or a desire to witness the paranormal firsthand. Those who drive the road at night are advised to remain alert, keep doors locked, and avoid unnecessary stops. Even experienced drivers report feeling a profound sense of unease as they traverse the haunted stretch, aware that the ordinary rules of reality seem suspended in the shadows of the trees. State Road 24 is more than just a road through the Gainesville area. It is a liminal space where the living brush against the residual energy of the past. Glowing eyes, ghostly whispers, vanishing travelers, and the oppressive feeling of being watched combine to make this highway one of the most unnerving in Florida. For those who dare to journey along its stretches after dark, SR-24 offers a chilling reminder that some roads hold secrets best left undiscovered, and that the past never truly stays buried in the shadows. Florida's roads may seem inviting by day, but when darkness falls, these highways transform into places of fear, where the past lingers and spirits roam. From shadowy figures and ghostly hitchhikers to mysterious vanishes, these 25 haunted roads reveal a side of the Sunshine State that few dare to explore. So next time you take a night drive, remember some roads aren't just empty stretches of asphalt. They are corridors to the unknown, where the spirits of the past wait for the unwary traveler.